Good morning and welcome to Sewing Street. I'm John Cole Morgan and I'm really beyond excited about this hour because look, today, as you know, you can buy on our website on www.sewingstreet.com, failing which if you'd like to call our UK-based call centre, the number is 0800 001 4433. And that's not just to buy. If you've got any questions or queries or anything about your orders or anything, that's the number to dial and they'll be able to help you out with that. This morning you will be able to see somewhere on the set some eggs that have been made by Neil's children, and these will be, if you're able to spot them over the 7-day period they've been on air, you'll be able to post your comments on Sunday on the Sewing Street TV Facebook page, and in the comments you'll need to put where the eggs were throughout the time. And you'll be up for winning a prize, and it's a really good prize. Gosh, Debbie Shaw's fabric panels, plus 2.5 meters of fabrics. That's just incredible, a really lovely thing of doing. So watch out for those eggs. They're somewhere on the set every single day, not saying a word. But the great thing about you being able to join me at 8 o'clock in the morning is you're always going to get, because you're the early birds catching our early show, you're going to be able to look out for our early bird special. This morning we've got a really lovely, lovely early bird, and it is the very first time we have had fabric as an early bird, and it is a really amazing, amazing value deal. We've got 1/2 meter of this fabulous Michael Miller and half meter of each in the coordinating fabrics. They are just amazing. I adore Michael Miller's fabrics. They are so good. I'm going to show this up to you. So it's a beautiful, non-directional, beautiful, I'm not sure whether we call that a leaf and twig, or just it's so lovely. And of course it's blue, my favourite colour. And Joe, bless him, has just run through the studio to reset the frame on the camera there. Look how beautiful that is. Because it's early bird, you'll be able to get this nice and early. And it's a really, really great deal on the price of this. Bless him, Joe's just running now to get the graphics up, so bear with us for a few seconds. But just look how beautiful this fabric is. Anybody who knows quilting and knows any form of fabric things knows that Michael Miller is a really, really well-known name and such a great designer. Oh, and I've just noticed on the selvage, there's a hashtag here that if you're making anything, it says hashtag make it fun. So if you do make anything with this fabric, do make sure you pop it on social media using that hashtag make it fun. Really lovely product that. But that's not just all you're getting. You're getting 1/2 meter of the Michael Miller, but you're also getting 1/2 meter of this fabulous navy. It's a really beautiful navy, this one. 100% quilting cotton, beautiful to feel, and it just coordinates so beautifully. So you can see, if I do that there, you can see how beautifully well that goes. That Hayley's got a wonderfully good eye. I'm running out of fingers to be able to hold this all up for you. And then that's the navy. So you're getting 1/2 meter of the navy, 1/2 meter of the Michael Miller. But not only that, you're also getting 1/2 meter of the ivory. It's either ivory or white. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't got a comparative to it. But look how beautiful this all goes. So well together. And look at that. All of that fabric for £9.97. Aren't you glad you checked in early this morning? Now, the great thing about our process and how we do these things is that if you did want to buy this now and pay the P&P on that, that means you can shop for free for the rest of the day. The P&P has already been paid on your early bird, and you won't need to pay the postage twice. Because sometimes the postage does put somebody off a purchase, but now you pay one P&P all day, and let's say, for example, you wanted to buy a sewing machine, you only pay the one P&P all day, and that will come through from direct from the sewing machine people, but you don't have to pay twice. And look how beautifully that goes together. It is just such a lovely, lovely combination of fabric that. Really beautiful. half metre of the Michael Miller, half metre of the navy, half a metre of the white for £9.97. You're saving £3 buying this as a bundle, which is effectively almost one of these for free, because we do sell our coordinating fabrics by the half metre on the website as well. So if you were interested in doing the navy, for example, this is on the website as well by a half metre, and I think it is £3.49 a metre, half metre. But it's a really lovely, lovely navy, this. So if you are looking for it on the website, I tried yesterday looking for it, so I typed in the search box white and pressed go. And of course we share our website with Jewellery Maker. I don't advise it because you ended up with every single beautiful white bead and everything. So if you are searching for any of these, if you typed in white cotton or ivory cotton or navy cotton, it'll come up immediately with the fabric. So just pop the word cotton in after your search and you'll find it in a heartbeat. And that's then the white if you're interested in doing that by the half metre. Again, that's £3.49 for a half metre. And if you buy this bundle today, you're effectively getting one of them virtually for free. So what an amazing, amazing deal. And the Michael Miller, you're not going to be able to buy from Sewing Street outside of getting it in this bundle, but at that price, what a great deal. So make sure you check that out. There are not a huge amount of stock on these because we wanted to make sure you get a little bit of a treat. It's Easter. We're all being forced to stay at home, so now you can get something really lovely at such a great price. So that's our early bird for the morning. So I am going to be, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be presenting my very first block of the week, not a block of the month, block of the week. And I am beyond proud and excited. Just yesterday I went and started getting one of the samples ready and saw my name on a selvage. It was a bit of a moment. I had a bit of a moment there. But the quilts that you're going to be making, I'm going to just quickly show you these. We've got 3 different colorways. And oh my gosh, they're just so lovely. So this is the blues colorway, because we think that it's always important that we cover everybody's different views and fabric choices and preferences. And you can see it's a hefty size quilt. Just look how lovely they are. Nice big chunky 15-inch blocks. We want to make sure you've got a decent block there. Oh. So there are 12 different blocks which will be able to teach you from the beginning to slightly more complex blocks, but it's a really nice project that you'll be able to do and make sure you then expand your techniques, and it's just such a lovely, lovely quilt. So that was the blues. This one we've called the, oh, I've forgotten what this one's called. This is the vintage. This is vintage with the most beautiful pinks and greys and greens. Look at that. And you can see how different they all look. If I got this the right way around, I was a bit worried there. It's so big, I'm running out of arms. So you can see that's our vintage colourway. And I'm going to leave that on the table for a few moments while I bring our brights colourway over. And check I've got that the right way around as well. But I am so proud of this. I think it's just so amazing, and it is 100% exclusive to Sewing Street. You can't get the fabrics anywhere else, can't get the patterns. It's just a really lovely, lovely project, this. And that is your 9 AM show. So hang around for that, don't miss out. I'm going to now try and put these back on the shelf without knocking everything over. And don't forget to look for those Easter eggs. Oh, I'm getting better at this. So yes, join me at 9 o'clock for our block of the week. I'm incredibly excited about it, so I look forward to being able to share that with you later. So the first thing I'm going to be able to show you is, next Saturday, we've got our design roll race. So I think I'm going to start by showing you my finished product. And you can be able to see. And the great thing about this is, having shown a few people what they are, showing a few people this quilt, they've all thought that the blues look like skyscrapers and the rest looks a bit like a setting sun. So I'm going to show you the quilt first, and then I'll be able to tell you a bit more about our design roll race. Because the important thing about today is that if you want to take part in our design roll race and you want to use our fabrics, which you can see are so gorgeous, today's the last day to order them, to guarantee delivery, to have them before we take part. So the prep for the prep for what you need to do for the show will be at the end of this hour between we're changing sets for the next show. But also, if you join me at about 10 o'clock, I'll be actually showing you physically how you actually prepare everything, get everything ready for the design roll race. And I'm very excited about that. That's taking place on Saturday the 18th of April. I think we said around about 9:30ish. And it's going to be great. It's our very first sew-along. Where we are at the moment, everybody's a little bit isolated, nobody's able to go out and do anything. So we wanted to be able to bring sewing to you, bring something to your home where you can take part and you can do something. And then on the Facebook fans page, we'll be able to then have everybody posting their progress. If you've got any questions, you can ask there. And then we're going to sew along together from 9 o'clock, 9:30 next Saturday the 18th, all the way through until I finish the quilt, which is going to be very exciting. And the good thing is that you can then take part and be a part of it. It's a once-off that we're trying to try and see how it's going. These panels have sold so well. And we've got a wonderful bundle if you're going to be taking part. So we've got the 3 different colourways. We've got the berry. We've got the, I think this is the sunset. And this one's the azure, but I'm going to show you them each individually. But today, if you bought all 3 of them together, they're £49.97, which is saving you £10. Because we wanted to make sure that we were giving you a nice saving when we're doing this, because it's the first time we're doing it, and we want you to be able to be involved and to take part. So if you haven't seen these before, I'm going to show the half first, because you can then see how it gradiates from the dark to the light. And you can see just how beautifully that goes. This is only half, but in the detailing, you can see in the screen there, for example, that one there, you can see all these amazing geometric designs and patterns. Can we go over the overhead, perhaps? So you can see just how beautiful these different designs are. But what's great is each different colorway has the same fabric, the same design on the fabrics. So I'll show you, for example, the dark purple over here has this beautiful design on it there, but equally the orange has the same design, as does the blue. So you can see that that design goes through each and every one of those colours as it gradiates along. So it just works so beautifully, and I'll just slide this over so you can see these incredible designs on here. Of course, these are exclusive to Sewing Street. Can't get them anywhere else. But just look at this one. It's so cleverly done. And the detailing on it is so clever. And I'm very, very pleased that I was able to do the design roll race on this. But look at that one. It just works so beautifully. I love these circles when they juxtapose these squares and the actual angular angles of the fabric here. I think these are really, really well designed. So all of these different designs are on each of the colorways. And so the darkest one will have the same design and the lightest one will have the same design. So just to give you an idea of just how much fabric you're getting, look at that! I can't even get my arms up big enough. These are 55-inch wide design panels. There are 16 strips on each one, and each strip is 2.5 inches. So that's a lot of fabric, that. So the design roll race, what I'm really excited about with this is it is really for complete beginners. It's for the intermediates as well, and it's for the advanced, because what's interesting about each one, if I cut these up and sew them together, and I sew one side to one side and then just change one thing, the quilt comes out totally differently. Each time they'll come out so different, and it doesn't matter how many times I've planned them, I've never managed to get them the same, which I don't know is a good thing or a bad thing, but it just creates these amazing quilts. And the thing that I wanted to do was to have something that covered for experienced people and intermediate and beginners, because it is just this wonderfully therapeutic, mindful sewing process that you just go through and you just literally let your machine run and you sew, and it's just simply straight line stitching. You've got to just keep a continuous, not accurate, but a consistent 1/4 inch seam, because I know that my 1/4 inch seam is definitely a lot lower sometimes, or a lot bigger than other people. So all we say is you've just got to make sure it's the same all the way through the quilt, and then it'll be gorgeous. So yes, please do check out the social media side of things, because we've done a couple of videos, and then again we'll be doing this at 10 o'clock. You'll be able to see exactly what the prep is and doing that. So that was the azure that I just shown you, and then this one, I think it's the sunset. Just looking for the name on it. Sunset. So you can see a really lovely colourway on this one as well. But just make sure that if you do want to take part in this, that you are placing your order today. It is the very last day we can guarantee you getting the fabric in time to be able to take part in the jelly roll race. The design roll race. I keep calling it the jelly roll race. The design roll race. Just obviously with our warehouse being on skeleton staff and things where they are now, we're doing our level best to make sure that people get the products as quickly as possible. But it also gives you time to do a bit of prep as well, because there is a little bit of prep. I did one yesterday and it took about 3 hours, 2.5 hours, to do the prep to get ready for the Saturday show. So you have got a little bit of work to do, but it's really fun work. And it's one of those community building things. We just wanted to make sure that people were able to take part and be together and do something as a common goal. And it's just something really, really fun, but also really great value. If you look at the savings you're making buying these 3 together, and you saw the quilt that I've made already, it's really a beautiful, beautiful piece. So we're really hoping you're going to be able to join us in that. Now, the next thing I am beyond excited about, because let's say, for example, you didn't fancy the design rolls that we've shown you here, which I think are beautiful anyway. We have other options for you. We have these incredible Barley pops. Now, if anybody has ever used batiks before, you know just how beautiful they are, how soft they are to use, how absolutely gorgeous the colours are. Now, if anybody has actually seen how batiks are made, it is absolutely incredible. Most of these are actually done by hand, so they'll take the fabric, they'll dye them by hand, and then they'll put different agents on or stamps on or something on top of them, and then they'll let them set in the sun, and then they'll take them and do another wash and then do another set and take them and do another wash and another set. It's an incredible process to watch. If anybody's ever not seen it, Google batik making and you'll be able to see how they do it. It's phenomenally interesting, but it's why these colours are so vivid and so beautiful. And also, all of them are completely unique. So if you bought 2 of the, let's say 2 of these, the dots will never be placed in the same place on each. So if they cut it from the same piece of fabric, they'll be the same. But every single one is so unique and so individual. And the great thing is somebody's already opened some, so I'll be able to show you how those go there. But so which one are we going to do first? The blue ones. Oh, I'm so excited. It's just the feel of these Barley pops are so amazing. I'm going to try and find the middle. There we go. So the colourways, I'm not sure how we're going to best do these. Do you want to do it on the over, maybe? So I'm just going to put a few of these colours on and slide these out the way and slide this over. There we go. So you can then just get to see a few more colours. So what these Barley pops are doing is you've got 2 of each one. So you can see these are all width of fabric, roughly about 40 inches. But just look at the detailing on this colour. And just as you can see the soft differences between them. And these are just the blues. Obviously we've got 3 different colourways. Look at that one. You know me, I love my blues, so I'm always starting with the one I like most. And we have been able to use these as samples along the way. You'll see little bits have got, some of them have got little bits cut off them. But Barley Pops are just absolutely amazing. Look at that one. And I think I'm going to manage one more, and then that will be my limit on the camera there. But if we zoom into this, for example, maybe this one, you'll be able to see just how subtle but so effective the colorways are. And I'm going to slide this one down a bit because you didn't notice these beautiful hues of pinks and oranges all the way through it. And then a little bit further up here, you can see these greens that have come in. And over here you've got the yellows and the greens and this beautiful pink, which is the same pink as this one over here. They're so cleverly done. And if I put that one there, you can see just how subtle the difference is there. And that's almost a black, but it's not. And you can just see how gorgeous they are. And all of these have been handmade. And the great thing with batiks is front or back. So this piece here, the same on the front and the back. They look identical, so you can use either side. There's no more worrying about right side, wrong side, because they just work so beautifully. I'm wondering if I can just pile these colours on in the middle here. But you can see also how subtly different these are here, this one being so different to this one. And you'll see this one's got a bit more of a smudged effect on it. And if you rotate it over, you can see there's a bit of water marking as the colour ran off it as it went through. And then you get these beautiful different arrays of colours here as well. I won't deny and I won't admit this to Andrew, but I have many, many packs of these Barley Pops. Because they're so gorgeous. And you get 40 strips of fabric in each one, which is a nice combination. So if you're going to do the design roll race and you fancy doing one of these, you'll have more than enough fabric to be able to do the design roll race using one of these. And these today are $39.99. And if my math does me correctly, so 40, call them 40 inches width of fabric. There are 40 pieces at 2.5 inches wide. That's 100 inches of fabric. So that's just over 2.5 meters of batik fabric here in these Barley Pops. And that's a really good amount of fabric to make something really beautiful on it. And I love the fact you get 2 strips of each one, but each one is so different. So you can see just those 2 together, even though you can, actually that looks as though that may have been cut from the same place, but they're so different. And when you rotate it over, it's so different as well. But they're the same colorway. So even though you're getting 2 the same, these pieces are all totally different because of the way it's been colored, because they're all done by hand. It's just a beautiful technique on how to do these batiks. I absolutely adore them. Oh, only 2 left on this one. And the great thing with this is, well, not the great thing for you, it's just that if you are interested in these, we haven't got a huge quantity of them because they've been so incredibly popular. And with the unfortunate situation we're all in, we obviously will do our best to get them back in when we've sold out, but it's just with deliveries being a little bit delayed, we can't guarantee when that is. So even if you don't want to use them for the design roll race and you've fallen in love with them like I have, make sure you check out on them because we're not sure when we'll be able to get them in again. But you know we're always doing our very best to make sure we get everything to you as quickly as possible. It's just a very strange world we're in at the moment. Oh. So just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful combination of colours there. So this one was called, Joe, I might need you to tell me what, this is Lupin? This is called Under the Sea. So you can see that is just a beautiful colourway, the one that I've just shown you now. Oh, let's get the, there we go. So that's the Under the Sea Spotty Barley Pop Pack from Hoffman. 40 pieces, 2.5 inches each. And just lovely. So I think this is the pastel. I'm hoping that's the pastel one. It looks pastel-y. So this is the next one that we've got, because we've got 3 of them in total. Just see how beautifully those go. And again, I'm so thrilled somebody's broken one of these open. But again, you can just see the variation of colours on these and the way that they've done them. It's so beautiful. And I'm assuming it's the gorgeous Debbie that's made all these wonderful samples of these that we've got already on the set, to be able to show you these made up into different projects. Is it not? Well, somebody's made some amazing samples. Thank you very much for that. I thought it was the lovely Debbie. But look at those. Just such a beautiful, subtle ombre of colours all the way through. We have a new designer called Wendy. She made the samples for us, and they are gorgeous. I'm looking forward to showing you those. But now what you can see as well, we had that teal one there, but if you just pop that one on, it's got all the yellows and the pinks of these over here. So you can see how they all tie together. So you've got the orange here and the orange here, which tie these fabrics in so beautifully together. But it's all completely natural. All the different dyes and techniques that they use are all in the Barley sun. And it's, I don't know about you, but I look at these and just think, oh, holiday. Can't wait to go on holiday again. But you bring a little bit of sunshine into your lives. Now you can see we're going into the yellow, and the yellow there and the yellow there tie in so beautifully. But equally, the pink from here ties in with the pink from there, and it just then ties it all together so beautifully. And then I'm going to do a bit more yellow, and a bit more orange, and then even a more vividly beautiful orange. I don't know how they can see that being a pastel is just gorgeous. But again, look at how these two pieces are so similar, but so different, being right next to each other, because you're not going to get this beautiful wave of colour wash here. You can see, look at that beautiful line over there of the colour. You're not going to get that in every piece, which just makes each piece of batik all that more unique. Oh, I love this. Oh my goodness, look at these last two. I think these are my favourite 2 pieces, these. Look at those. And you can tell just how beautifully these all merge together. It's just a gorgeous technique to be able to make batiks this way. And all of this is done by the Barley Sunshine. All by hand, by amazing people that are normally, they're just so passionate about being able to create beautiful colours and beautiful fabrics. And it's just such a lovely, lovely product. Let me show you these samples that we've had made by Wendy. I'm going to start with this one because I think this might be my favourite. But look at that. Joe's just coming out now. You hear the pitter-patter of little feet going out. To just zoom out a little bit on that. Look at that. And you can just see with this with a combination next to me how many fabrics you get in different colours. And that's roughly 100 inches of fabric you're getting. And you can see each of these, what, about 2.5 inches square? There's no way, you can make hundreds of these. Maybe not hundreds, but you know what I mean. You can make loads because it's just such a beautiful colourway. So that's the first sample that Wendy made us. This is the second with just 2 of the strips, but it might actually just be one of them. It is 2. You can see there's a light pink in the thing. But some ends of it will be lighter than others, but just look how fun that is. Really, really clever use of them. And then, of course, a gorgeous bag. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I hadn't noticed the other side. I think that's very clever as well. A little bit of a rainbow going on the back there. So you can see, just even if you weren't going to use this as a design roll race, you can see a really easy projects to make, really, really effective with these gorgeous colours. So what we're going to do now is just show you again the lovely pack there. So this is your Pastel Spotty pack. That was what I showed you earlier on that, and just a beautiful, beautiful combination of fabrics there. Then lastly in our lovely boutique bundles is the Rainbow Spotty, and I actually cut into one of these yesterday, but it's so beautiful. You can see just how vivid and vivacious these colours all the way along there are. Really lovely, down to this beautiful lime greeny colour right up to this beautiful orange. Again, you're getting 2 of each colour, but as I showed you when I did them when I laid them out, it may be 2 of each colour, but because of the boutique the boutique dyeing process, each strip will be slightly different. Simply because of the way that it's been dyed. You'll be able to see if I put those 2 together. Oh, if I slide it over, I'll show you. You can see you've got a few more little dark lines on this one, and this one's got a slightly lighter line on it. But it just adds to that beautiful boutique uniqueness, that each product that you get will be completely unique. Now we've got the beautiful bright pink, and this lovely light pink. Look at that with that gorgeous orange. And this red, and there's only a little bit of this red left because I cut into it yesterday. I don't feel any remorse for that, because gorgeous fabric needs to be used. But you can see just over there the variation of colours and just the different ways you can use them, just with those few samples that we've had. Another way I've seen somebody use these products is what they do is they cut everything into 2.5-inch squares. And once they've cut them all into 2.5-inch squares, they take them and they put them in a big bag, and then they take out 1 square, sew it to the next 1 square, and they do a scrappy quilt all the way along. And you're not allowed to change your mind. What you get is what you get. So if you get 2 greens together, you get 2 greens together, and then you just shake the bag together. But it's just a really lovely way of doing a sort of scrappy quilt. But doing batiks, they also beautifully blend together because of the technique and the colours that they've used. It just works really, really well. So you've literally got loads of different options on how to use this product. Oh, I think this is that may be my favourite piece. That one, that may be second. Just so clever. I've got this lovely purple. I've got this lovely yellow. Another lovely purple. You can see what I mean, all these different colours, they just go so beautifully together. This is obviously a bit more mixed up than what you'd get it when you get yours. Oh, that's the same as that one. That one's been used. Only 2 more to go. Got that gorgeous blue there. So you can see what a gorgeous, gorgeous colourway that all is. I think that may be the second one of that one. Just a beautiful, beautiful combination of colours. And if you flop these over, you can see when you go back to the yellows, they all tie in so beautifully. It's just a really lovely, lovely collection of fabrics, this. We don't have huge amounts of these, so please, if you are wanting to get them, make sure you check your basket out. Because unfortunately, until you've actually paid for it and it's yours, it's not yours yet. So somebody might be able to call the call centre. And if there's only one left and it's in your basket, if you haven't paid for it, unfortunately, it's not yours just yet. So somebody may be able to take that from you. So this is the Rainbow Spotty Barley Pop Pack, $39.99. And I'm so, so excited about that. But the next one I'm so thrilled about is our extra wide backings. We had a few of these. I know we've got 2 new ones today. Do you know which ones the new ones are, Joe? So the green, that one, and the brown. These are new to us today. We've had these ones in stock before, so I'll do those first. But look how huge these are again. I love it because I've got my dummy already set up. My mannequin, not dummy, sorry. I'm going to pin that down so you can see just how wide this fabric is. 108-inch backing. And I've got my, look how much you get. That's a huge amount of fabric there. But look at the interesting details on it. It's so, so, so intricate. So I can show on the, perhaps on the overhead, we can show the different designs. Get nice and close on that to be able to see exactly what they look like. Because it's this beautiful, intricate detailing on that. You've got this wonderful circle next to the oval with these beautiful loops. It just creates this wonderful bit of interest on it. So I know on the graphics it's saying mid-green at the moment. I'm showing you the red. But again, the prices are still the same on these. Half metre of that at 108-inch wide is £8.99. So if you needed 2 metres of this, you would then order 4 units and it would come through to you at 1 piece of fabric. So that is the red one. And then we're going to do the dark grey next, because I think we've had these on before, but they were so popular we sold out. So we're just really pleased to be able to bring these to you again. So I'll do the dark grey again. Sorry, this one's called black, not dark grey, but it is a really, I can see why this one was so popular. Look at that. Gosh, that's gorgeous. That is really beautiful, that. And again, we'll show you on the overhead these. Look how beautiful this detailing is. You can see just, oh, got little threads there. Just look how beautiful that detailing is. Really, really lovely product, that. So this one is called Black, and that one again is £8.99 for a half metre. So if you needed to get 2 or 3 metres, you would just then do them in multiples and they'd come to you as one cut. And then the new colours that we've got today. Oh, I folded this my usual way. I swear someone in the warehouse will hate me for that. This is a lovely colour, this. Look at that for brown. Where are we? But I love this design. It's so clever and so effective. Look at that. It's just so intricate as well. Really, really lovely fabric, that one. This is brand new to us today, the brown. Look at the detailing on that. Look at that. It's a really lovely, lovely design on this, and it works so well in all of these colorways. And there's so much fabric in a half metre of this. It's really lovely. So the next one I'm going to bring you is the light grey, I hope. Is that right? Pale grey, pale grey. Because I think we all get to that point where we need to get back in fabrics, and sometimes they're a little bit bright or a little bit too much. These are just beautifully subtle, but so elegant. Look at that. You can really see that on the back of a quilt, or it's just beautiful. This designing is so clever. Just that subtle variation of colour on it, it's great. Really, really lovely product, this. So this one is brand new to Sewing Street today. It sold so well in the 2 colours we had originally, being the red and the black. I wanted to try and get you a few more colours to see how those go. And then lastly, we've got this amazing green. This is so fresh. Oops. The thing with so much fabric is you can't quite find the ends there. I feel like I should thank our mannequin for all the hard work she's doing today. And again, look at that. The detailing is so lovely. It's such an effective design. It works really, really well. See, I'm almost tempted to buy a ½ metre of each, sew them together and see what it looks like, because that would be a really beautiful combination, that. And then again, I'll just show you this over the top. You can see just how vibrant that is. It's really lovely. Nice and fresh. Exactly what you'd need in a beautiful backing fabric. $8.99 for a ½ metre, and if you needed to get, say, 3 metres of it for a king-size quilt, I think that's 3 metres, you would need to buy 6 units, and that would then come through as one individual cut piece of 3 metres, being 6 units. Oops. So what a lovely combination of backing fabrics there. Really lovely, and I'll show you those again just on the sides. You can see, just look at those colourways. So lovely and vivid. Whoops, I'll do it that way. So those are the different colourways on it. You've got the green at the back, you've got the pale grey, or was it light grey? Pale grey. You've got the brown, the black, and then the red. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful collection of fabrics, that. Really, really lovely. So we've had a message in, and I'd like to say a very warm welcome to Joseph. Good morning, and I hear you're 8 years old. Thank you so much for watching us. I'm so pleased to have you, and I hope you get to learn to sew soon, and I hope you do so already. Nice to have you with us, Joseph. How lovely. Please, if you want to drop us a line or message us, we've got a wonderful Facebook page, Sewing Street TV. We've also got our wonderful fans page, which is Sewing Street Fans. And we do monitor them through the show, like you've just seen. Joe's been able to give me the message. And anything, if you've got a message, drop us a message on Sewing Street TV. Otherwise, we've also got our Instagram page, which is @SewingStreet. And it's nice to be able to hear from you all and to hear, like being able to know Joseph's watching. I think that's wonderful. Thank you very much for all your messages. Sorry? You're waving back at the screen. Oh, Joseph, that made me very happy. Nice to have you with us. Can you see any Easter eggs on the set today? So what we've got next, I think it's these, isn't it? Now, these are really, really lovely. I've not seen these before, and they're exclusive to Sewing Street. Look at these. So everybody who does English paper piecing knows how difficult it is to get hexagons that you can then cut out, and you've got enough of them to make little flowers. Look at those. You can see all these gorgeous different colourways on there. Really, really, really lovely. You can see just how beautiful all these different colours are. Look how beautiful these are. So these are called the Easter Pastels Hexyz. So if anybody hasn't used these before, let me show you. Perhaps, Joe, I can ask you to go to the overhead. Whenever you're wanting to do English paper piecing, there we go. So there we go. So what we do here is you're going to have a 2-inch hexy in the middle. Is it 2 inches? 2-inch age added 1/4 inch. So you've got I think it's a 2-inch hexy here. The measurement in the inside. Sorry, I'm going to grab my ruler just to double check. Yes, it is. So you can see that that measurement along there is 2 3/8. From there to there is 2 3/8. So you could easily use up to 1 3/4 hexy, because you'd need to fold those on both sides. But what you do is you can then just physically cut these out as an exact shape, and you've got no wastage. You're using all of the hexagon. But equally, you can then use these setting squares, setting diamonds as well, using the same side. So you could actually take all of that as it is now and create a really lovely quilt, maybe doing half of it this way and then adding the other half on top. Or you can just take out and you can have 6 different of these to make different flowers. You could got all these different colorways on these. You could take all these out and you could have that one and that one being the leaves of one flower. It's just a really beautifully, beautifully thought out concept, this. And I think you're getting 60 of them. So, oh, look at that one. Just so beautiful, the little designs and the patterns and fabrics the way these have come out. Or you just take them all and you just do them all scrappy, that you just cut them all out, stick them onto your fabrics or tack them onto your hexagons and just sew them all together. But it's just a really wonderful concept that I'm so pleased that they've come up with. So that whole bundle, you can see this is how many you're getting for $12.99. Look how huge they are, and they're really big Hexyz, those. Really, really lovely. $12.99 for that bundle, and just such a fresh, beautiful combination of colours there. But now, if you're not just loving these, we've got these amazing stripes as well. So if you were looking at the design roll race that we're doing next week, this might be an option for you as well. You'd need to buy a few of them, obviously, because these are slightly smaller. But look at these colorways. They're so, so cute. These are brand new this week, which you can tell why. They are so beautiful. And doesn't it make you think of Easter? It's just a really lovely, soft palette. And even summertime, just sort of these, it makes you think of sort of a beautiful sunset, because you get all these beautiful colours in your sunsets nowadays. There was a gorgeous sunrise this morning, lots of fog when I left Hertfordshire, but it would look like a bit like a Dickensian novel. And then the sun rising as I came close to the building, oh, it was just gorgeous. Really beautiful. I'm not folding these. One day I will get this folding thing right. Today is not that day. So those are beautiful summer, the springtime collection. What do we call these? Sorry, Joe? Spring Pastel collection there. So we've got the Hexyz and the design strips on that. Really, really lovely. But now I am so excited about this one. Lewis and Irene is a beautifully, beautifully designed company, a beautifully designed range of fabrics. It's a family company, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 3 people? I think it was 3 people that working in there. Really beautiful combination of fabrics, these. Really, really lovely. There's a ½ metre of each one, and these are $26.99 for the 2 metre bundle. They've created... Lewis and Irene were created in 2013, so they've been going for 7-8 years now, and bring many, many years of experience to the brand, and you can just tell by these incredible designs. And it's a really small design team, but I don't know who is the design team, but look how cute he is. Look how cute he is. And if he's not cute enough, look at him. He's just popping his little face out to say hello. I love little fabrics like this because they're just so interesting. But look at the detail on that little face. And the little tail popping out there. It's just so, so beautifully designed. It's a really, really lovely product, this. So I'm going to show you now what you're getting in this piece of fabric. It's non-directional as well, so you can cut it any way you like. I'm going to get this a bit forward. Look at that. So this is one of the fabrics in the bundle, and I think, is this available on its own? So this is available on its own as well, but we're going to do the bundle first. And I'm not going to fold that because I'll show it to you individually for when I do the bundles. This one is just absolute spring, summertime in a piece of fabric. Look at that. These are new in last week. I had them on my show last week as well. Look how beautiful they were, and they're sold really, really well. But you can see why. It's just such a fresh, beautiful colourway, this. And then we've got these tulips, which are slightly larger, just gorgeous. And you can see this tulip over here with the, I'll pop it up for you now and you'll see. It's got this gorgeous red and white combination on it there. There you go, you can see the detailing on the flower for the white and then the pink and then the white and the red and the white and the yellow. It just pops so beautifully in that. So it's a gorgeous bundle, these. And then we've got the last one with the little mice being in love with lots of hearts and windmills, and just such a beautiful fabric, this one. Look how fun that is. It's like a little mouse wedding there. So this is your bundle. You're going to get a ½ metre of each of these, but they're also available by the ½ metre. So do search the website for that, and you'll be able to see each one by the ½ metre. Oh, I seem to have forgotten to do this one. We've got the tulips are all in full bloom at the minute, aren't they? Can't wait to be able to go out and see them all again. I hope you're all staying safe. And the great thing is you get to stay at home and sew. I saw a wonderful meme the other day with a wife talking to her husband in the meme saying, you called it fabric hoarding, I called it preparation for now. Which we shouldn't try and make jokes in this situation, but it is a nice little way to have a little giggle, use up some of your projects and to spend some time sewing and making some beautiful, beautiful things. And the great thing about our fans page is we're always able to see when you share with us what you've been doing and how it's been working for you, and they look so amazing and so inspiring. So that's the combination for our bundle, 4½ metres, so it's a 2 metre bundle for 20, I can't remember how much it was then. $26.99 for the tulip, the Lewis and Irene Tulip Fields fabric. So if you want to buy these by the ½ metre, just double check the website and go from there. What have we got next? We're going to do these summer fat quarter panels. So this is panel number 1. Yes. So this is now a fabric range called Copen Summer, and this is our fat quarter set 1. Look at this. Oh, there's so much fabric. Look at that. It's a huge piece of fabric. Our fat quarters are 27.5 by 19.5 inches. So that's larger than a standard fat quarter. And you can just see how beautiful these colour combinations are and how well these go together. These are exclusive to Sewing Street. Can't get these anywhere else. And we've got them in 8 different colourways, this collection. So that was our fat quarter set 1. And I will get better at this one day. And then this is our fat quarter set 2, which is FPUU03. Just helping Joe there find the right graphic. Look at this one. So you can see all 4 of them there. Just a really lovely combination of colours there. Both of these fat quarter panels are 140 centimetres by 105, and that's 27.5 inches by 19.5. So it's larger than your usual fat quarters, and they're $14.99 for each for 4 fat quarters. Can't go wrong with that. Exclusive to Sewing Street, and you can see they're just a really lovely combination of colours there. Yours will be folded a lot better than what I'm doing them. And then, unless you're lucky enough to get this one in there, which I don't think you will be. There we go. So now we've got our design, what have we called these? Fabric squares. There are 40 squares in this. So what I'll do is we'll get it fixed on the camera and then I'll slide it along as we go. So you can see you've got 2 there. You've got the 1 and 1. So you can see that that goes... You'll get 2 of each one, so I'll just slide this along so you can see each of the colourways. Sorry. You can see they're just such interesting colours and really, really, really well thought out, and they coordinate so beautifully together. So these are our fabric squares, 5 inches each, and that's 40 squares for $12.99. Really lovely colour combination then. And then we've got our design strips, design fabric strips. Are there 16 on this one? I think there are. Not 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yes, I think there are 16 on this. So if you wanted to do the design race with us and you fancy doing a different product than the geometrics that we're recommending, this is an option as well. It's obviously a little bit more expensive because we think that the design roll race with the geometrics would work so well. But if you fancy doing it with this, then obviously this is another option for you. And you can see again, these are so beautifully coordinated. Lovely, lovely set of fabrics, these. $19.99 for 110 centimetres by 140. And I think that's 16. I just want to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, yes, so there are 16 strips here. So if you did want to do the design roll race, you can do it with 2, but you get a much bigger size if you're doing 3. So you can see that's a huge saving on our design bundle that we were offering earlier. So there we go. What a lovely amount of fabric and just so beautiful. I'm going to recap on our early bird as to what it is, because obviously you've joined us and you're in our early birds for our early show. We've got this fabulous, very first time we've ever had a fabric bundle as the early bird sale. And we've got our wonderful 1/2 metre of Michael Miller fabric here. We've got a 1/2 metre of this gorgeous navy and a 1/2 metre of the white or ivory. I'm sorry, I can't tell which one it is. I think it's white, but look how well those go together. So it's 1.5 metres of fabric for £9.97. That's a saving of £3 buying the bundle the way it is. Michael Miller fabric you can only buy in this bundle as well at the minute, but we do sell the other coordinates by the 1/2 metre and they're £3.49 for the 1/2 metre. So do check out that early bird sale, because once they're gone, they're gone. Oh, I've just heard now we're in single figures on our early bird sale. So do make sure if you are interested in this, £9.97, 1 day P&P. So that means basically if you bought this now and paid the P&P on it, you can then buy it for the rest of the day and pay no more postage for 24 hours from that. Isn't that just a wonderful, I don't know if it's 24 hours or if it's on the day. So buy before midnight and you get the 1 P&P. Really lovely product there, and I'm really excited. That's definitely going to have sold out by the next show, so thank you so much. We're going to now take a break because I am going to take a moment and breathe about these fabulous block of the weeks that we've got coming up. I am so proud of them and I'm really, really excited to share that with you. So we'll be back in a few seconds. Just going to set up, it'll be about a minute or two. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seams stronger and also help to prevent lint building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find these useful. If you want more hints and tips, then why not go to Sewing Street on channel 74 on Freeview, on Sky 670, and of course we have a YouTube channel where you can catch up on previous demonstrations. We'll see you soon.
Hello, I'm John Cole Morgan and I'm really excited about our sew along on the 18th of April. I really hope you're going to be able to join us. If you want to take part, you'll see that you'll need to buy the Design Roll Race bundle, which is reduced by £10 by buying the 3 bundles together, which will be $49.97. I'm going to show you now the finished quilt to show you what it is you're going to be making. So you've got this amazing gradation of colours going through the different bundles that we have. And you can see I was lucky enough to be able to get my lovely pink strips right in the middle as whole pieces. If you want that, you keep them at 55 inches long, and you then just sew them end to end, and one of your rolls will appear fully in the middle. When you get your bundle, you're going to get a piece of fabric like this, and you're to cut out every single strip. Cut them all out, clear the white bits off, so you'll cut the white out there, you'll cut them all into these different strips, and my suggestion is that you keep them from light going to dark, and you keep that bundle, that'll be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 16 on each colorway. I did mine where I kept all the orange together, all the pink together, and all the blue together, and I sewed yellow, blue, pink, and I started light yellow to dark blue to light blue, light pink to dark pink. You do them how you like, and I also did them at 55 inches. The one I'm going to be doing on the show is I'm cutting them down in half, and I'm making them to be 27.5 roughly inches, so you can then do the same. Once you've cut them out into your strips and you've decided what length you're going to do them, which colorway you'd like to do them, then you're going to take them, and each single strip, you can do them the same color, you can alternate the colors, you can change it, it's entirely up to you. You're sewing on the short end of all of your strips, so you will have a single 2.5 inch tall strip of fabric, which will be roughly 1700 inches. If you do want to be at the point when I'm going to be for the design roll race, sorry, not a jelly roll race, what you're going to need to do, you take your raw edges of the fabric that you've got left, put them together, and you sew down one side. So your 1700 inches becomes roughly 850, and I'll be going one step further before the race, and then having you fold the raw edges together again and sew down one of the raw edges. That will then mean that you've got 4 inches this way, and round about 400 inches of fabric. If you want to do this, take part in this, the bundle is on your screen at the moment. It's a $49.97, and we're going to be starting this at 9:30 on the 18th of April of this year. I'm really looking forward to being able to host this with you. Any questions or queries, please drop us a line on the social media platforms, and I really look forward to having you there. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw, and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now, this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines, and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you, or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday.
Welcome back. I'm John Cole Morgan, and I am incredibly excited about this hour because I'm introducing a very, very first block of the week. So many of you may not know what a block of the week is. So what we normally do is we make a quilt over a year. So it's a block of the month. So you get one block a month, and you then sew it up when you get time, and you then at the end of the year have a block. Of course, at the moment, we all have a little bit more time, so we were thinking of a way of being able to help keep you entertained, get you involved with different projects and being able to do different things. And I won't deny, I am phenomenally proud of this because, where is it? I've lost it. I managed to get my name on a selvage. So I'm so proud of this. Anybody who's ever had any aspirations for any form of quilting, fabric, anything, to have your name on a selvage is incredibly awe-inspiring. I just never thought that would be something that would happen. I am so proud of this design. It is something that I want that people can look at and realize that as a beginner you can take part, because then what you'll do is you'll learn the easier blocks first, and then we're going to get and progress as the weeks go on to a slightly more difficult block, and to show you how you can improve your techniques along the way. If you're an intermediate, you'll already know some of these techniques, so that'll be a bit of a boost for you, being able to say, oh, I know that, I can do that. So you'll be able to then do some of the easier blocks without too much help. And then if you're advanced, then you're going to be able to just make sure you cement your knowledge on it and know that you're knowing exactly what you're doing. You're going to be spending a little bit extra more time making sure your points are precise, and that's what will be suitable for every single person taking part in this. So I'm going to show you now the design that I've come up with. I'm so excited. We've done it in 3 different colourways. Obviously, I'm going to start with the blue because blue is my favourite colour, and I absolutely love this blue. And as I lay this out, you'll be able to see we've got 12 completely different blocks, all very different. I've got my sewing machine a little bit in the way there, so I'm going to slide this out of the way. Got it. You can just see these gorgeous blocks, all so different, and they just pop so well. Because I think it's really important that you have a design of something that is something a little bit easier that you can then warm up to, if you like, and then a little bit harder that you can work into to be able to make sure that you're getting these exactly the way they should be. So you can see those little flying geese triangles over there. They're not easy, that one, because that's where you really need to focus and make sure you get your points just right. So this is the blue colorway. Obviously the first one, because it's blue. And then we've got our brights colorway here. And I'm going to take the vintage down as well, save me getting it off. So this is our brights colorway. And you can see just how different they all look in the different fabrics. And all of these are the same design. It's exactly the same design. All it is we're trying to bring you 3 different colorways. Sorry, I've got my demo fabric floating away in the wind there. We wanted to bring you 3 different colorways because not everybody loves blue. Some people prefer something a bit more bright. It's just so bright and vibrant. Might remind you a little bit of Easter. And the great thing is because if you're able to take part in this, you'll be able to do this in 12 weeks for the blocks. And then we've got a 13th week where I'll show you how to do your sashing and your borders. And the way we're structuring it is you're going to be able to get all of your pattern and your fabric from us exclusively, and you will be able to have everything in one delivery. It'll all come in one spot, and you'll get tuition on each and every block each time, every Friday at 9 AM. That will be the time for the block of the week. Forgive me while I try and do acrobatics. There we go. And let me check I've got this the right way around. There we go. I haven't. So the great thing about this one as well, this fabric is absolutely gorgeous. All of these fabrics are completely exclusive to Sewing Street. Can't get these anywhere else. But while I've got this here, and I've finished showing you, I'm going to ask Joe to bring his camera out, his overhead, and you can see just how beautiful these fabrics are. So you can see, where are we there? So this is showing a little bit grey in this one. It's actually a light green, but that's just the camera. So you can see that's a beautiful green. You can see this plain, but it's not just a plain, it's got a beautiful fleck in it. And then you've got that beautiful dark grey, and you can just see how beautifully thought out these fabrics are. Our design team has been working really hard to make sure we made something really beautiful for you. And you can see then you've got this wonderful white here with a background and this beautiful pink for your sashings and your borders and things, and this gorgeous border fabric here as well. It's a really beautiful colorway. So each time we do a block, you are going to make either the vintage colorway or the blues colorway. So we can zoom in on the blue now and you can be able to see each fabric. You'll be able to then see the detailing on each fabric. So you can see we've got our lovely crosses there in that blue. We've got our dots on that one. And we've got that gorgeous colorway there. So these two are the same, this one and this. Oh, that one and that one are the same. And then you can see that gorgeous background fabric as well. It's a really, really beautiful combination. So this is the blue colourway. And then, not to leave all the lovely people who like brights out, we've got our brights colourway as well. And you can just see how vibrant that is. Really, really, really lovely product. So what we're doing is this will be every single week for 13 weeks from today, every Friday at 9 AM. And you'll be able to take part, you'll be able to watch the demo. The demo will always be on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to flick back at that. Every Friday show at 9 AM, you'll be able to see exactly how it all works. We're wanting to make sure that you're just able to, you're all staying at home, we haven't got that much, we're running out of projects to do, we're getting a little bit bored, and this is just a really nice way of being able to stay entertained. But equally, it's something I am so incredibly excited about and I'm so proud of. I can't tell you as a designer how wonderful it is when you see something that's in your head that you put down on paper and you send out into the world, and people make them online. It's just so heartwarming to be able to see people are making something that you've thought up and a design that you've come up with. It's really lovely. Unfortunately, these are only available at Sewing Street. You can't get these anywhere else. The fabrics are exclusive to Sewing Street, and they're all just so much fun, and the projects, I promise you, are really, really easy to do. I wanted to make sure that everything was very user-friendly. The instructions are really, really nice. Shall I show you that now? So let's just look at the Brights colourway first. So first of all, you're going to get your pattern. So you'll get your pattern, which will come to you like that. Is your first page. You've got your second page there. And then you've got these wonderful pictures of how to actually put everything together, in what order to put them all together. So you've got a really wonderful pattern there, very, very user-friendly to be able to make sure that you know what you're doing. And then each week you'll get a panel like this, which will have all the fabric on that you need to make the block of that week. So this is what the panel looks like for this week. So this is block 1 of 12. And you can see that's the yellow, and if I slide this over here, you'll see the blue is next to it. So you can see it's a really big piece of fabric, this. This is more than 2 fat quarters as well. You can see it's a really big piece of fabric, that. And I'm just double checking. So it's just under 19 inches wide of fabric as well. So it's just under 2 fat quarters of fabric there. Really lovely. So that panel alone, you're looking at a huge chunk of money for that. But not today. But look at that. So that's really great. We've got that in the brights. And then we've got the vintage colourway as well. So you can see how they're all coming to you like this. So you can see you've got the 3 there, and if I slide it that way, you can see. So that's the vintage colourway on that. And then also we've got the blue colourway. Obviously, I love my blue. And again, just like the other 2, you've got 4 different colours. They're all in one panel. And look at that. So all of these look really, really nice. And you're getting a pattern with it as well, and you're getting me tutoring you every week on doing it. If you did these at a class, oh, that would be ridiculously expensive, wouldn't it? And I'm really excited because, as you'll see, it's really not that expensive at all. For the blue, we're just getting some graphics up for you now. So there are 3 different colorways, obviously. So when you're ordering it, you would then need to pick your colors. So shall I show you those again? So now that you've had a little look again, maybe you want to see the quilts before you go from there. So we'll start with the blue. So I'll hold this there, and you can see the blue colorway. And the great thing about this quilt is you can see it's completely multi-directional. It doesn't matter which way you hold it. It's still very pretty. So this is the blue. So that's what your finished product will look like after 12 weeks. And then you've just got your sashing borders to go in as well. Then we've got our vintage colorway as well. So these are then all the different blocks that you're getting. Still all multi-directional, so even with these colorways you can see it just completely works whichever way you have them. That's a really big block. So that's our vintage colorway. And then I'm going to bring our brights colorway on. Perform my acrobatic trick. 3, 2, 1. Oh, no, didn't get that right. There we go. And then we've got our brights colorway as well. So now you've seen each different colorway. Perhaps you've got an idea in your head as to which colorway you'd like to do it in. So we've got those. So if we start, should we start with the blue? So this is the blue colorway, and these will all come with a set of instructions. This is for the instructions, the fabric, and obviously then my tutorial each week. They're $11.99 for a week. Now, anybody who knows when you're buying a really good quality set of fat quarters, you're buying 2 fat quarters, those are going to be quite a bit of money already. So you can see with the pattern, the fabric and the tuition for this block at $11.99 a week, that is not a lot. So that's there, and I'm going to just bring the instructions. Whoops, not a problem, just popping these back, sorry. So you're getting the instructions and this panel. Let me just do that. Oh, wrong way. And that is going to be $11.99 a week. And there are 12 blocks for the month for the quilt. Look at that. And these fabrics are so vibrant. Really, really, really lovely fabrics, these. And then I think next one, should we do, the next one in my bundle is brights, I think. Is that bright? Yes, it is. So the block that blue one's going to make, let me just show you the block that we're going to make today. That's going to be the block that we're making out of the one today. Whoops. And you will have so much fabric left over. When I start my demo, you'll be able to see how much fabric I had left over. So this is the brights block. Just going to move this out the way. So this is the brights block. You can see just how beautiful those colours are. And this is the bundle you're going to get. Let's hold this the right way around. So that's the instructions and the panel for $11.99. Now, anybody who's taken part in a block of the month before knows that's such a great value, because block of the months are normally quite expensive, and they're a lot more than that. And you don't get the tuition with that normally as well, so you'll be able to always refer back to the tuition, and you'll be able to see just how simple it is to make these blocks. Really, really, really easy to do, because I wanted to make sure that it was simple for everybody. So that's our blue. We've done our blue, we've done our brights, and now we've got our vintage colorway. You can see just how beautiful that colorway is there. So this one, for the bundle we're getting on this one, not only are you getting the instructions, but you're also getting the panel, and then obviously my tutorial each week, each time we do it. And I'm going to slide that across so you can see. And I thought I'd call it the welcome quilt because I'm still new to Sewing Street, so it's just my little welcome. And I'm hoping everybody's going to really, really enjoy it. So that's where we are on the panels. That's what you're going to get for each one. And I'm really excited. I hope you are too. So let me start by showing you how this is going to work for this week. So this is a log cabin, and anybody who's started quilting before will know just the log cabin's what you start at normally. It's a nice block to start with. So at the moment in the demonstration, I'm going to be using the Brights quilt. So we're going to be having one of these. This is the Brights panel, but I'm going to cut the blue panel because the cutting is quite important. I just need to show you that as well. But before I do that, I always want to know what I'm getting for free, if you like. So what I've done is I've cut out my fabric for my block. That's my block cut out. Now, I was a little bit silly and I didn't read the instructions, even though I wrote them. And I cut my fabric out incorrectly. So I had those. Oh my goodness, that was unexpected. I've just heard that a quarter of the stock on all the bundles has sold out already. And we had hundreds of them. I am absolutely blown away by that. I'm so excited that you can all take part in it. I know you're going to have a really amazing time with us. Thank you for that. And the blue is apparently only just in the lead. I can tell why. The colorways are so great on this. So what I wanted to show you here was, I like being able to show you how much you get left. So I've accidentally cut that fabric wrong. I've got all these little bits of fabric left over. And this is what I've got left of my panel. So not only are you getting enough to make the block, you're getting enough to make a mistake, and these left over. So you've got a lot of fabric here. It's not just enough fabric for you to make the block. You are going to have more than enough to do extra bits with it afterwards. You're going to have some little room for error. And of course, you're going to get a selvage with my name on it, which I'm very excited about. I love my little name on the selvages. So the first thing I need to show you here is on the cutting plan, you will see that, I'm just going to cover that there, you've got fabric 1, and in this design, it's white. Okay, so it says fabric 1. Now, white is not always going to be the fabric 1. They're all different for each one. But what we did was, on each panel, you will see a little note in the corner of your panel that says fabric 1. So that's my fabric 1 in the Brights range. That's my fabric 1 in the blue range. And then in the vintage range, where are we? So you'll see in the top left-hand corner, your fabric 1, it's written as fabric 1 in the top left-hand corner. So this was my fabric 1 on the Brights. This is fabric 1 on the blues. That's fabric 1 on the vintage. And then you've got fabric 2 and fabric 3 and fabric 4. Now, the reason I made an error, and I'm telling you this in advance because you've still got enough fabric to do it, they don't go in order. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just this week they don't go in order. And the reason being is you need more of fabric 3 than you do of fabric 2. So you'll see you've got fabric 3 is next, and then fabric 2 is underneath it. So if we leave the camera there, this is fabric 1. I made the mistake of thinking that was fabric 2, but it wasn't. That's fabric 3. And then that's my fabric 3 for the Brights. And then fabric 2 was down the bottom because you need less of it. And then fabric 4 is over here. Okay, so that's the only thing I need to tell you that I made a little bit of a blupsy on. And that is then in your instructions, and you've got the cutting plan for fabric 1, fabric 2, fabric 3, and fabric 4. And the colours that it refers to are on this page. So when you're cutting it out, just make sure that you read the top left-hand corner of each of the colour pieces, and you go from there. So that's the only little thing I think people need to know on that. I told you earlier I'm going to cut the blue. I'm not going to cut the whole thing, but I think it's really, really important that I have a little chat with you about... Where's my ruler gone? Boom, boom, boom. There's my ruler. Many people have issues with 3/8, 5/8, 7/8 and things like that. So we're going to have a little bit of a maths class. Don't worry, it'll be really quick. So I chatted with Joe earlier, and he has very kindly been able to get the camera zoomed in really nice and tight. I'm just looking for a sharp, pointy thing, and I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to ask Jo to move into this. Now, many of you know this. So if you have, this is extra knowledge for you. You don't need to listen. Some of you don't know this. So that's why I'm going to just take a few minutes to just show you where you're cutting. Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to zoom in here. Wait, where are you? The creative grids. Perfect. Right. So what we're going to do is the main cut here uses 1/8 of an inch. So let's just go between 1 and 2. So that is 0/8 and that is 8/8. So we know that if that is divided into 8, there are the 8 pieces. So 8 divided by 2 is 4/8, which is going to be a half. So you can see I'm definitely doing my maths here. So if this is 4/8, that one will be 3/8, that one will be 2/8 or a quarter, and that'll be 1/8. So the way we count these out is it's 1/8, a quarter, 3/8, half, 5/8, 6/8, or 3/4, 7/8, and then the whole number. So the reason I'm telling you this is that a lot of the cuts use either 3/8 or 7/8 or 1/8, and I'm not going to tell you which one's which. Reason being, it's just important to know that that is your line for 1/8. That one there, closest to my fingers, is the line for 3/8, and then the one closest to 2 is 7/8. So just know that that's what I'm talking about with this 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, because it does get a little bit confusing, and I want to just make sure that everybody's on the same page. If you get it wrong, there's enough fabric there, don't worry. And I'd rather you cut bigger and then trim down afterwards, or had a really, really big seam, but I'd rather you cut it correctly the first time. That's just what's important, to make sure that you can do that right. Mentioning seam allowances, you need to do a standard 1/4 inch all the way through. If you do it smaller or you do it bigger, I'd prefer it with spot on, we all would, but just be consistent, because if you're not, half your block will be bigger than the other half and you'll end up with a little bit of a wobble. That's fine. Steaming presses everything and then it becomes your long armor's problem. But do try, if you can, to keep it to a 1/4 inch. So that's where we are on that one. And the great thing with this is you do not need any special rulers. The only thing I would say is if your ruler does have an 1/8 line on it, it will make your life a lot easier. If it doesn't have an 1/8 line on it, as long as it's got a 1/4 and 1/2, then you know it's 3/8 is exactly in the middle of those two. And if it's a 1/4 and let's say it's the 0 and a 1/4, halfway between that is an 1/8 and then 7/8. But as long as your ruler's got a 7/8 line on it, your life will be very, very simple with that. You don't need anything more than that than your usual sewing kit. I think a nice big mat is quite good. So this is a really lovely mat. We've mentioned this mat many times in the show before. Really lovely mat, this one. It goes from 34 inches to 22, really nice big size. And you can see the fabric fits on beautifully on it. Nice bit, and a ruler is quite good. So if you've got a 6.5 by 6 or 6.5 by 24 by or 24.5 inch ruler, that would work perfectly. And a decent rotary cutter with a fresh blade that you can lock and not hurt yourself with. You'll be fine with that. Pins would be handy as well. You can see we've got a lovely set of pins as well. So those are what I'm going to use on those today. So when you're cutting, I would always say to you, make sure that you cut your own line first. So you can see I've just put the ruler this side of where it's printed, only because sometimes there may be it might not be 100% straight. I'd rather you start off with a completely flat straight line. So cut along that line and then measure. Once you cut along that line, move your ruler this way, get your measurement correct and cut accordingly so that your ruler is then lined up with your straight edge. And other than that, I think that's everything. The instructions are very clear as to what you're doing and how you're going to cut it all out. Just make sure you've got the right fabrics. And as I pointed out to you before, it says fabric 1, fabric 3, fabric 2, and fabric 4. So it's always in the top left-hand corner of each one. Make sure you're just checking which one's which. And if, like me, you did make an error, and it's my, I shouldn't have made an error, but it was my error there. But even if you have, it doesn't matter. You've got enough fabric to fix it. What I would say is a good tip when you're doing your cutting, when you've got your fabric 1, I would take that out, cut it, and stick that there onto fabric 1. And then when you go onto fabric 2, cut that off and put it onto fabric 2, onto fabric 3 and fabric 4. I just think that's a nice easy way that you can always refer back to it and you know what's what, because hopefully you're able to do this every week with us, but if you put this in a bag and come back later and you've lost these little pieces and you can't find them, but you've got the pattern and you're thinking, gosh, what was my fabric 1? It's just so much easier that they're actually stuck to your pattern, and then you'll always know where they are. And a really top tip that I learned is somebody actually used their sewing machine to attach them onto the actual pattern. So what they do is, if that's fabric 1 there, they put their fabrics along here. So we know that that's fabric 2, that's fabric 3, and then they stitched all the way along there, so they had the fabric off the edge of the page, but they always had those attached to them, which I thought was a genius idea. So it worked really, really well. So now let's just start showing you, once you've cut everything out. I'm working with the bright pack today. Once you start cutting everything out, I'm going to lay it all out in the order. Hopefully I've pulled this off correctly. Live telly, what could possibly go wrong? Right, so my first seam, I'm going to lay them all out and then I'll show you how we sew it all together. Now remember, I'm using the Brights combination. Oh, I'm doing this the wrong way around. Always important to refer back to your pattern, really key. Sorry, I'm just looking for my, there we go. And then that one goes there. That one goes there. I think I'm making Joe's life difficult here. This is a big block. This is about 15.5-inch block that we're making. So it's a nice, good size block, this. And there we go. So those are that's the layout, very loosely, before we start sewing everything together. And you can see, according to the pictures, where you are and how you're doing it. So now all that's left is to put my correct foot on and use this amazing sewing machine. So what I did earlier was I was playing with this machine. Oh, it's reverted back exactly where I need it to be. I'm going to pop this foot out. Sorry, I had it set up for my 10 o'clock demo. It'll be 2 seconds. Right. So the first thing it tells me is figure 1.1. I'm going to sew these two together now. I'm just going to check that my iron has switched on, and it is, because we're going to do a little bit of pressing after this. So again, make sure that if you can be as accurate as possible on your 1/4 inch, that would be ideal. And I've got my fabulous June Taylor pressing mat here. And my lovely little primer iron, oh, which is caught up in my cabling. Sorry about this. Now I press my seams open, you don't have to. I have to say the most exciting thing for me on this is our very own Hayley Bryant and our very own Hayley Marshall Say are actually taking part in this block of the month as well. And they are completely beginners to quilting. They've never made quilts like this before, and they are so excited about it, and I am as well. So they'll be able to post pictures and videos of what they're doing along the way as well. So that's the great thing, is when you're posting your videos, when you're doing this and your pictures, pop them on the fans page, and if you've got any questions, I will happily be able to answer whatever I can for you, and you'll always be able to get some support on that as well. So it's not just the tuition on here, you'll also be able to get support online as well. Oh, is Hannah doing it as well? Oh, fabulous! Oh, talk about a team effort, I love that. Joe's not going to do it. Joe, can we encourage you to do it? Do you know who I want to see do it is Neil. I think Neil should do it. I think we should get Neil on once we're allowed to actually be in the same room together. Make sure that we can actually get him in to do a block on a demo. Wouldn't that be good? We should start a little poll for that, shouldn't we? So what I'm doing is I'm just sewing, so you can see I've now sewn 3 pieces together. And what you're doing with these log cabins is you're just going in a concentric circle. This one's anti-clockwise, and you're sewing the next piece on as you go along. And all I'm doing is making sure I'm keeping a really strict 1/4 inch that's consistent. So even if it is a slightly different 1/4 inch, it's consistent. It's the same 1/4 inch all the way. I was having a bit of problems with the Juki yesterday, and I put the bobbin in incorrectly, which is what we were having a few issues with yesterday. Please, that's all fixed up now. So all I'm doing now is I'm just pressing the seam open. And you don't have to press the seams open. I would just say press to the dark side if you're not going to. But you can just see on the inside of this block, when it's done, it just creates that really lovely finish. And when you look on this side, there's no bleeding of fabrics around at all. So now we've done those. I think I've cut that bit a little bit bigger than I should have. Oh, we've had a message in from Tracy. Morning, Tracy. She's saying, thank you, John. This is a wonderful block of the week. And she says, being in quarantine, it's a great project to look forward to. And I'm so glad you see it that way, because that's exactly how I wanted it to be. Oh, she's loving all the colourways of the project. Oh, we'd make all 3 if you like. Oh, I'm having a moment again, sorry. Come on, my friend. Does anybody else talk to their sewing machine when things don't go quite to plan? There we go. I'm so pleased that Tracy and people like Tracy are taking part that way. It's going to be lovely. And it is a really fun project, and you can see the quilt itself is beautiful. And it's something you'll easily be able to treasure and look forward to. But it's also such great value as well. For the fabric, the kit, and then the experience of actually taking part with everybody as well. It's really good. Now with these pieces, you'll see I've actually cut this a little bit longer. So if you are ending up that it's a little bit longer, they're meant to all be exactly the same size. So that's meant to end at the same size. So if yours is slightly longer, prefer it was slightly longer than slightly shorter. In case you are, all you're going to do now is you're going to line your ruler up. Sorry, my head's in your way there. So you're going to line your ruler up. Ooh. There we go. You're going to line the ruler up, and you're just going to trim off whatever is excess on the top. And I know, I'm 99% sure that was me just cutting that a little bit too late at night. So you can see now we've made our first full round of colours. And you're just going to repeat that all the way through. So the next one, you're going to attach that to there. And I know what's happened here. My seam allowance here is much bigger than my seam allowance there. That's why this piece at the bottom is slightly larger, because my seam allowance there is too big. So if ever you do have a piece of fabric that's popped a little bit longer, remeasure it, check you've cut it the right size, or check your seam allowances. Now, it's not a problem if your seam allowance is too big. It doesn't matter. All that matters is you be consistent on it. So don't worry about it if it's a little bit out, because you just trim it down. Who's Carol from Durham? Carol from Durham has a question. Hello, Carol. Oh, Carol, you've asked a wonderful question. Her question was, how do you sew long strips together without them bending? That is a really, really good question, and I'll tell you what the issue is. In fact, I can show you once I finish this seam. Give me 2 seconds. When you're sewing long strips together, let's just assume you're sewing these 2 strips together. You put them right sides together, you sew down this line, okay? Then you get the next piece in, so this is a little bit heavier, and you take the next bit there and you sew that together, top to bottom. What happens is, not only is the fabric weighing down on that seam ever so slightly there, if you're left or right-handed, you're going to be guiding the fabric in, so your hand automatically veers away from the needle. So what happens is you're creating this constant bit of pressure on one edge of your fabric. And what will happen is that over time, the whole thing will bow out. And the way you stop that is, if you're sewing this edge from top to bottom, the next one you sew from bottom to top. And it's really important that you keep alternating that. So if this one has been sewn top to bottom, the next one will be bottom to top, next one will be top to bottom. And as long as you keep alternating that, what happens is the weight of the fabric and the way you're guiding it is counteracted on every single side that you're doing it, which is a nice easy way of making sure you don't end up with any bows in it. If you do end up with some bows, unfortunately, not all the time can you fix it. Try using a bit of steam to get it right, doing a bit of blocking, but normally it doesn't work, so you're kind of stuck with that bow. So just from the outset, make sure you're sewing from top to bottom, then bottom to top. But don't worry, we've all got it. We've all got a lovely log cabin or something that we've done which has got a little bit of a wave in it. So all I do is every time I see mine, I just go, hello wave. It's just much easier. I know it's silly, but it makes me chuckle. Right, so we've done that one. And because my seam was a little bit wider in that one section, you can see I've got a little bit extra fabric on this. I trim as I go on this. You don't have to. And if you do, your block may be ever so slightly smaller, but don't worry, we'll fix that with the sashing. There are many fixes with all of this. So again, now I'm sewing this one on there, and you can see this one is perfect. It lines up beautifully. So we now have a lead on who's ordering what, and the vintage is in the lead. Oh, I'm so excited. It is a lovely colourway. I have to say I was quite stuck with which one to choose, because I was immediately, they said they were doing the blues. I was like, nope, blues are mine. Then when I saw the vintage, I was like, ooh. But the brights is also beautiful. So we've got hundreds of them for sale. They haven't sold out, but they are selling really fast. So what will happen is, if we do sell out of a particular colour, what we will do is next week on Friday at 9 o'clock, each week that we do them, we will try and then get some more printed of the colourways that were in the lead that we perhaps sold out of, and then we'll be able to offer you block 1 and 2 when we do our second week. It's just obviously with production at the moment, we're not quite sure when and if we can do that and how, because skeleton staff and all that, we're just doing the best we can at the moment. Trying to keep you all entertained. So again, you don't have to press your seams open. It does take a little bit longer doing your seams open, but I do think you end up with a little bit of a nicer finish. And this June Taylor pressing mat is a really nice way of doing it, because you press on it, and then you just come back and you put it on top of your work and it's all ready to go. So here you can see I'm ever so slightly out because of that seam allowance issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this exactly in the middle, and I'm going to press it, I'm going to sew it from the, so this will go to the bottom. Just that way then I can make sure that I can keep my seams open and make sure that I'm not going to trap any seams there. So you can see all I've done is I've picked my fabrics up as I go, and I'm just going in an anti-clockwise concentric circle of the fabrics. And I've played one of my little tricks. At the moment, this piece of fabric, the yellow, was 2 or 3 threads of cotton wider than my top piece. So all I did was, while my needle's down, I've been pulling on the top piece, and you can see now my seams are exact. There's no overhang at all on either side. So that's a nice little tip, that when you put your fabric that doesn't have any seams at the bottom, and just which is also a bit larger, line it up nicely on this end, and then just give this a tiny little tug along the way, ever so slightly. You didn't even see that I'd done it, and then the fabric meets up perfectly. So you can then ease in any seam allowance issues. You can ease that in really beautifully there. Oh my word, I have an announcement. This is really exciting news. We've had a message in from Neil, and Neil has agreed he's going to do one block. As long as it's a really hard one. Neil, you're doing the flying geese triangles, because that one is really hard. Oh, that's really exciting. You see, the whole team's getting involved. I'm so glad. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Neil. That's really made my day. Now we just need to get Joe to do an easy one. Joe's ignoring me now. The speech in my ear has stopped completely. And you can hear cackling, I'm sure. Wonderful. So you can see that that's going really, really nicely now. So we'll just recap what we did. We first sewed this one onto that one, and then we sewed that one onto those two together. Then this one onto the piece there, because you can't really see, but there's a seam there. Then you've sewn this one on there, so you've made another square. Then you've attached that to the square. Then you've attached that one. We've attached that one, and now we're attaching this one. So we've only got 5 more seams, and our block is done. Isn't this a really fun project? It's just so easy. It's just nice, easy sewing. It's brilliant. Remember I told you about that little fabric adjustment? We're doing it again. There we go. Now this one I'm using a sewing machine at the moment, but you can actually do this by hand. I've had a lady do this, do another project that I only used a sewing machine for, and she did it by hand, and it was beautifully done. So you can very easily do this by hand. It just means you're sewing all your long seams by hand. Very easily done. Just takes a little bit longer. Nothing wrong with that. So you can see why I take that time just to do this, pressing this open. You don't need to, you can just press to the dark side. I just think it makes the back of the block look so good as well. Oh, there we go. So there we go, we're now at another square stage there. You can see we've only got 4 left to go now. And if ever you're a bit stuck as to what goes on next, always just look and see where the next piece of fabric is that fits. So you can see that one there, and that one there, that's the next one on. We've had a message in from Christine. She's watching us today. Hello, Christine. She's loving the show. Had a question in for the newbies. Yes. Okay, so that's a very good question. Do I recommend pinning for newbies? Yes, I do. I don't pin myself. I've never pinned, which is why some of my early work looks so atrocious. Pinning really does help, and it just depends what works best for you. If you are pinning, I suggest doing one at the beginning, one at the end, and then I would do sort of maybe 3 or 4 on a length this size, which is about 10 inches, 12 inches. I would do one every sort of 2 inches. And it's entirely up to you. The only thing I will say is, please, I beg you, do not sew over your pins. If your needle hits a pin, the pin can shatter and it can fly everywhere. It can damage your needle. So please, even the very, very fine entomology pins, please don't sew over your pins. That's my only tip on that. You know what I'm always like with health and safety, innit? I'm so pleased this has been going so well. So we've got about 10 minutes left on this hour, so I should have enough time to sew all 3 of these together to finish the block. Oh, what have I done there? Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. I'm just going to re-sew that beginning bit. Not sure what happened there. So, 3 more to go and our block is done. And again, if you want to make this quicker, you can just press these seams to one side. There's nothing wrong with that. There is no right or wrong. It's just what works best for you. And if you want to press it from the top as well, this one I'm going to press from the top because I did a little bit of fabric manipulation. And you can see that you can't even tell that I stretched that to make it fit. So now I've done that one, and now we're doing this one. Now I know I'd cut everything out and have everything ready, and I am a reasonably intermediate accustomed to sewing quite quickly, but you can see this block has only taken about 30 minutes to do, and that's with me wittering away telling you all the bits and bobs as well. So it is quite an easy process to be able to do this block, so it's not going to be very overwhelming. As we progress through the project, you may find it takes a little bit longer, and I may have a bit more prepped before we come. But it is a lovely, lovely product. And I'm very proud of this design. I think it's wonderful. And I'm so glad so many people are taking part. Right, only 2 more to go. So I always make sure, because the number of times, just put it back and make sure you check it back to the picture, because at this point it is very easy to then sew that on there and it's wrong. Make sure you double check your picture. The top way to check it is the lights are always with the lights and the colours are always with the colours. So only 2 more seams to go. I'm so excited. In our 10 o'clock show, I'm showing you how to use this Juki, this amazing NX7 machine. And you can see I've been using it so lovely. It's a beautiful machine. Oh, I'm giving it a bit more welly than I normally should have. But that's not even got my foot to the floor either. It's a beautiful machine, this. It is lovely. So if you haven't seen this before, that'll be on at 10 o'clock. And there we go, pressing the second last seam open. And now we've got the last seam to go. So there we go. Put that on there. So I'm working with the Brights bundle at the moment. We've got 3 different colorways, being the blue and the vintage and this beautiful Brights one. So you're going to be spoilt for choice on which one to choose. Who's winning at the minute, Joe? Last time we heard, I think the vintage was a little bit in the lead. We've now sold half the stock of the vintage and the blue, so that's gone now. And the Brights are catching up nicely. More than half the stock gone on the vintage and the blue. That's wonderful. And here we go. Last seam. I'm going to press this open, and then when I've pressed the seam open, I'm going to press it from the front as well. And that is then your finished block. Now, if you are a complete beginner, I want you to do 2 things for me. I want you to make sure that you're having fun. This is meant to be fun. You're meant to enjoy it. And if your seams aren't right, no one is going to mind. The person you're making the quilt for is not going to care if your seam is slightly out. All they're going to care about is that it's made with love and that you enjoyed it. So remember, this is fun. The second thing just to remember is that we want this to be a learning experience for you. So what you'll do is you will measure your quilt block, and you'll see why you're out. So I'm about 1/8 of an inch short on this. So if you aren't exactly 15.5 inches, I want you to open your quilt block up and have a look. Now I can see immediately my pink here is too wide. That's perfect, that's perfect. That one's a little bit too thin. Go and look at the back of your quilt block, because that's how we learn. If you know that you've made a little bit of a wider seam there than you should have, you then can make a decision. Do you unpick that, iron everything flat again, and then sew it back on? That's entirely up to you. There is no right or wrong on it. All I'm interested in is that you make sure that you turn it over, you have a look. If you've made something slightly longer than it should be, you know why. You don't have to unpick it. There's nothing wrong. This block will fit perfectly into your quilt. But if it is slightly different, this is why we learn, and we learn from our mistakes. And I hate using the word mistake because it implies you've done something wrong, because you haven't. This is meant to be fun, but it's also meant to learn. So if you want to, flip it over and have a look and see where the errors are. And there we go. That's our finished block. So this is our Brights collection. The one I've made earlier for the blue collection, that's that one there. And I'm just going to pop my June Taylor ironing board over there. What have I done with my vintage? There it is. And that's the vintage one. Wow, I've just heard now our early bird has sold out. I'm not surprised. Such a great, great product there. Well done to everybody who got it. So now we're going to just go through the patterns and the bundles of what you're doing. So we've shown you all the panels earlier. This will be what you'll get for the vintage. You'll get a full panel with loads of fabric left over. So this is going to be the vintage colorway. You're going to get a full set of instructions with a vintage colorway, and you'll have loads of fabric left over that you can do other projects with or have a little bit of a play. The next one is our blue colorway. So this is going to be what your finished block will look like with the instructions, and that will then be $11.99 for this fabric panel and the instructions. And then we've got the last one, which is our Brights collection. So this is what you're going to have then for the Brights colorway, and again you'll have the instructions, and that's $11.99. This one's catching up to our vintage and our blue colorway. Oh, so I hear the vintage is just tipping it ever so slightly there, so that's really, really exciting. What a wonderful, wonderful hour there. I'm so pleased you're enjoying it. Next we have this fabulous Juki sewing machine. I am so excited about this because it is such a wonderful machine. So I will be doing that after the break. We're going to have a couple of messages and announcements between now and resetting everything up for the next hour. Thank you all so much for your time and joining in with this amazing project. I am so, so proud and so grateful that you could be part of it. It's going to be a wonderful experience, and make sure you share all of your pictures. Any questions, any queries, pop them on the Facebook Sewing Street TV or the Sewing Street fans page, and we'll happily be able to answer any questions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you all get on. Thank you all so much for your time, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw, and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now, this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines, and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you, or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday.
Hello and welcome. We love hearing from you, and we really hope that you can follow us on our social media platforms. We've got Instagram, which is @SewingStreet. We have Facebook. We've got 2 Facebook pages. One is the Sewing Street TV page, and the other one is Sewing Street Fans. All 3 of these are monitored all the time by our wonderful team, and if you want to message us on air, drop us a line on either of those three and we'll definitely be able to answer your questions that you may have. If you post on the actual wall, we can perhaps answer there. Otherwise, message us as well. That works really, really well. Thank you so much for being involved, and it's only because of this community that we're able to bring you all these different diverse products and to be able to answer your questions that you may have. Another way you can stay in touch with us is by signing up to our newsletter. These newsletters are sent out to you very regularly, and they include not only our guest profiles of upcoming guests, but also amazing shows that we've got coming up for you. And if you want to look at the amazing products before everybody else, that's the best way to do it. If you'd like to sign up and you haven't already, the link to follow is www.sewingstreet.com/sign up. You won't regret it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shaw from Sewing Street, and these are my 5 top tips for successful sewing. So, number 1, always use a good quality thread. A good quality thread will keep your seams stronger and also help to prevent lint building up inside your sewing machine. Tip number 2, if your project isn't going quite according to plan, put it down, walk away from it, come back again the next day and you'll probably find that things don't seem half as bad as they did. My tip number 3, never throw away your sewing machine manual, always keep it to hand because you're going to find hints and tips, techniques and troubleshooting in that manual. You'll miss it if you lose it. My tip number 4 is to read your pattern instructions before you even cut out your fabric. Different manufacturers of patterns will give you different instructions, different ways of constructing your garments and different seam allowances. So to have a successful garment, you need to follow the instructions precisely. And then tip number 5 is don't give up. Every professional sewer sewed their first seam. Every professional quilter quilted their first quilt. Every professional quilter sewed their first line of wonky stitches and had to get out the quick and pick. That's no different to you. So I hope you find these useful. If you want more hints and tips, then why not go to Sewing Street on channel 74 on Freeview, on Sky 670, and of course we have a YouTube channel where you can catch up on previous demonstrations. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm John Cole Morgan and I'm here to give you my top tips on how I go about enjoying my sewing experience. My first top tip, as everybody knows, rotary cutter safety. If you're not using it and it's not on the mat, that blade must be locked. Please be safe. My second top tip is always buy more fabric than you need. If you don't have it, it's always going to sell out. You're going to struggle to find it, and when you do, it's going to cost you a lot more than when you were going to buy it originally. So buy it all. You always regret the bit you didn't buy. My next tip is positive or negative, always listen to the advice and opinions of other people. Even if you ignore them, everybody has a different perspective, everybody has a different take on things, and it might help you along the way. The next top tip I have is always buy the most expensive and the most useful and the most practical for your brain product that works for you. Some people prefer different things, buy what works for you. And my last tip is, this is fun, this is enjoyable, and make sure you are enjoying it. Because there's nothing worse than carrying on with something and hating it and not enjoying it. You need to make sure that you're having fun. Those are my top tips and how it is that I enjoy my sewing experience. I hope they help you, because they have helped me. For more handy tips and demonstrations, make sure you watch us on our Freeview channel 74, Sky channel of 670, otherwise follow us on YouTube on Sewing Street, where you can catch up on past demonstrations and shows. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hello, I'm John Cole Morgan and welcome back to Sewing Street, our 3rd hour today, which I'm really, really excited about. We've got our lovely Juki having a little nap in her in her lovely little cover there, which is giving us the theme of what my hour today is going to be. It is the incredible NX7 Juki sewing machine, which I'm so excited about. You get so much with it. Obviously this lovely cover, which I think is always important that you've got a good cover for your machine. But the great thing about the cover is you've got lots of little pockets. And this is where you can put your feet. You've got a big, beautiful box with the feet. There's your little box that goes with it. And on this side, you can pop your instruction manual. It's a really robust, beautiful cover, this, which I think is really quite nice to be able to have. So, we've got our baby here. So, a couple of things about the machine before we start. If some of you haven't heard of Juki, a phenomenal company, been going for over 100 years. They have got some fantastic products, really, really lovely machines. They deal with a combination of industrial machines as well as normal domestic machines, but with their basis being more on industrial machines, they're more based on making sure that these machines are really robust and that they can do a really, really huge amount of workload in order to be able to suit everybody's different needs. I'm going to put that way there. And it just comes with so much. What I love about a product is when you get a load of bits that you didn't know you needed and they give it to you for free, but they're also essential in the whole process of your sewing machine. So the first thing you get with the machine is this wonderful extension table. I love a good extension table because often you've got a lot of fabric that you're working with and you want to make sure you've got place to put them on. And it folds down very easily for you to tuck away if you're doing something smaller. But this just clicks in so perfectly there. Really, really nice and simple. If you want to adjust anything, you just rotate the feet accordingly to get the right height for it. So that is a really, really nice addition. Comes free with it. So the Juki sewing machine comes with a 2-year warranty, but it also comes with a collection of feet. Unfortunately, due to the delivery issues we have at the moment, we don't have the free feet that come with it, but they're worth over £200. The feet that we've got are, we've got a bias binder foot, we've got an open toe free motion embroidery foot, we've got extra bobbins, so those as well add up to a little bit, and we've got a cording pressure foot, we've got a gauging foot. Now I think these are the standard feet, aren't they? Oh no, it's not. Yes, the gauging foot. Yes, sorry, and the cording presser foot. But pearls and sequins foot. No, those are standard. Sorry, the £200 bundle. It's definitely the bias binder foot. It is the open-toed free motion embroidery foot. It's a low shank adapter. So the low shank adapter, what that means is if you've got a low shank sewing machine that isn't a Juki, and you've got all the fabulous feet that you've been using for years on that machine, 90% of the feet that you get on other sewing machines with this adapter, you'll be able to use on the Juki machine as well. So that in itself is worth a huge amount because you can then use the feet that you're used to, and everything that you're used to using you can use on this machine as well. Unfortunately, there is one other foot which I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it comes with about 4 or 5 different feet worth well over £200, and you get some extra bobbins with that as well. With our standard feet that we get, and I know I always get this wrong, so I'm going to open my book and I folded it to the page where it was meant to be, and of course now I can't find that page, to tell you about which feet come standard with the machine. So we have our A foot, which most of you already know is your standard presser foot. Not sure where that's easier for you to show. So there you go. That's our A foot, which is a standard presser foot there. And I'm going to line this up on the machine there. Then we've got our zipper foot, which is number B. You've got our zipper foot there, which is number B. And then you've got your overcast presser foot, which is number C. Then you've got your blind stitch presser, which is that's number O. Boom, boom, boom. I had these all lined up and ready to go. Your D is a blind stitch presser foot. Then we've got number E, which is your button hole presser foot. So this is a really impressive little one here, which actually has a little adapter that plugs in as well. Really, really clever. If you look on our previous videos, you'll see Gary actually showed us how to use this, which I think is the 11th of March. If you want to go onto our YouTube channel and check on the 11th of March. Unfortunately, I'm interrupting him too much because I got so excited about the machine, but he shows you exactly how to use that. Then we have the I foot, which is the manual, the I foot I had over here, there we go. The I foot is the manual buttonhole presser foot. Then we've got the P foot, which is the patchwork presser foot. Then we've got the open-toed presser foot, which is that one. Then we've got the quilter presser foot. And then we've got the straight stitch presser foot. And then we've got the one that's on the machine at the moment, which I'm going to take off now, is our 7mm or 1/4 inch guide foot. So all of these feet come standard with the machine. You get 3 bobbins with it. You get this wonderful machine thing that comes on with the, I don't know exactly how to use this, but this is to be able to gauge if you're sewing cross-hatching. You line your stitching up with this point here, and then your stitch line will be perfectly straight to the seam you're lining it up with. Haven't used that before, so forgive me not knowing exactly how to put that on the machine and use it. But I think Gary covered that on the 11th, not too sure. But the great thing with this, if you don't know what the foot does or anything like that, Juki have a fantastic website on, and also a really great YouTube channel, which have got all the videos on all different products and all the things that they've got and all the different feet. So check out Juki's website as well. Otherwise, there are a lot of users that have got the machines that will do little YouTube videos to tell you how to use your buttonhole presser foot as well. So check that all out in case you want to have a see where you're going on that. But I'm just going to pop these back in the order I got them out of. I keep that because those are the 4 feet I know. So on top of that, you've got your straight stitch presser plate. So this is now, if you're only doing straight stitching, you can see that little hole there. That's where your needle will go in and out. But on top of that, you've got this really wonderful feed dog system, which is exclusive, or not exclusive, but it's exclusively used for the straight stitch process. Whereas here, let me grab this and I can show you what I mean with regards to the creative stitching side. There we go. So this is your straight stitch machine, straight stitch plate. So you can see you've got the 3. The machine, the hole will go through that little hole there. The needle will go through that little hole. And then these are your feed dogs for the presser foot there. But if you're using your creative stitches, you'll see that your feed dogs have, I think these are 7, 1, 2, 3, yes, they've got 7 traction points to be able to use your feed dog sections there. You can see there's 2 little ones in these 2 sections there. And that just helps you get your fabric in, because if your needle's going to go in this over here, that big wide section there is where your needle's going to go. So if you're doing zigzags, you've got these grips to be able to move your machine sideways to make it work easier. And the great thing is now is that I've got these this plate out and I've got the feed dogs out, and the machine is now completely locked. It won't let me do anything until such time as I've put everything back into place, and I've assured it that I've got my needle up and everything's in place there. And the great with so it's now the machine is really not letting me do anything at all until I've got everything back the way it's supposed to go. Previously when I demoed this, I didn't do any decorative stitches, so I'm going to show you a few of those. Just going to put the eye foot on. Oh, come on. Oh, it helps if I turn that, sorry. Wake the machine up again. There we go. So I've now got my eye foot on there. So you can see it's changing the stitch plate is so simple with this machine. You just use this wonderful little screwdriver, and there's a little knot. You'll see there's a notch there where my finger is there, and you slot that in there and just press it up and the stitch plate comes out. And it's a really lovely little box that you get to store all these in, because you can be able to see where all your stitches, where all your feet are. You've got this lovely, what do you call this, plasticky bit. And then you can just put the box lid on it, and then that lives in the side of your machine on one of the little pockets. And the great thing about this book, oh, I forgot to mention something to you. So over here, most machines require a walking foot that is separate. This one has a built-in walking foot. You can see I'm just pushing that down now. You can see that the walking foot is automatic. This walking foot's not going to attach now because I've got the wrong foot on at the moment. But you slide that under and you just push that through. If I take that foot off, it should work. 2 seconds. You can see now I've attached the walking foot. And if you want to take the walking foot off, you just do that and it retracts automatically. So it's a really, really ingenious system, that, being able to have the walking foot as an addition, as a built-in extra. You don't need to do anything more, it's just perfect. So the book I love, because the great thing with these books is it just shows you, so I'm going to just show you any page. You can see you've got all these red dots and lines about it, so it then tells you how to change the used amount. So this is for the bobbin thread counter. If you need to change how wide your bobbin is, it tells you when your bobbin's running out. This will tell you how to do it. Then this tells you how to change your tension, and then it's all the pictures to show you exactly what you're doing. You've got the foot switch functions over here, so if you want to change how your foot works, your foot pedal works, and then if you want to do a whole load of different ways, different patterns together, it shows you how to do it. And it's just a really, really user-friendly book to use. And I love a book. I can't stand a download because you can't, I think these are really good because when you figured it out, you can write notes in it. And then if you're struggling in certain sections, you can always then come back and read where you struggled before to be able to remind yourself of how you're doing it. So even if you do have an electronic download for a book, make sure you print it out. And then you've always got that there for you to do. So the great thing about this machine is we've got, there we go, sorry, we've got an incredibly wide throat. This is a 12-inch throat, which is the widest throat on any non-embroidery sewing machine. So that's a really fabulous thing to have. We had a lady, what was her name? I've forgotten her name now. Elverson, Sally Elverson, I think it is. Sally posted the most incredible picture on Facebook the other day of a quilt that she made on one of these Juki HZL-NX7s, and she'd actually quilted it on the machine, and she was raving about how fantastic the throat space was to be able to get that ready. So Joe's looking for the wonderful comments that she wrote about this, so thank you so much for that. It's really great to be able to have the feedback from customers themselves, because it's all very well me saying to you it's an amazing machine, but when somebody else has given you that commentary, look at that quilt, is that not just amazing? Sally, you did phenomenally well with that, looks absolutely beautiful. So you'll be able to see, and she raved about the machine as well. So check out our Sewing Street fans page and you'll be able to see everything that she wrote about that. It was really, really good. So now what I'm doing here is I've decided I want to do some decorative stitching. So I'm going to leave my foot up at the moment. There are hundreds and hundreds of different stitches that you can do on this. So I'm looking here. There are, gosh, it looks as though there are 390 different stitches on here, but obviously the stitches, that may very well be the stitch design, but that'll change because you can make a stitch wider or bigger or smaller or longer. You can make the stitch the length bigger as well, which will change the way. So there's a huge amount of stitching that you can do on this. So I'm just going to randomly pick a selection, because what I did earlier as a test piece, I just randomly selected one after the other, after the other, after the other. Hang on, where's the right way around? There we go. And you can see how that has worked so, so well, being able to see all the different stitches on here. So you might not be able to see it, but that was a leaf, that was an open leaf, there was another leaf, open and closed, a combination. And then when you're finished, if you just keep your foot down, it just then redoes the stitches again. So then I got bored and decided, oh, I'm going to press more buttons and more buttons and more buttons. So I'm going to do the same thing now for you. What I do then is, unfortunately, I can't rotate the machine, so I'm just going to speak you through it. There's a tab at the top left, top right-hand corner. You tap that, and then you just keep scrolling until, oh, you've got a drop-down menu down the side, where you're actually able to then select these decorative stitches, and then you can choose which one you want. So let's do that one. And then you just literally tap the ones that you want. And I'm just going to tap a few of them just to show you. Oh, hang on, what have I done? So I can just go in and just tap all these different selections, and they just run one after the other And I'll show you, I've just selected about 10 or 15 of them. So the great thing is on the actual machine, it's picked up that I have got the creative stitch plate in. So it tells me automatically, given what I'm stitching, I need to have the eye foot in. So I just double check that the foot is the eye foot, and that's actually written on the top there. And once I'm sure that's it, I then lower that down to get the foot in place, push my machine down, and that's it. Now all I'm doing, it's all programmed to stitch in a multitude of different stitches, and I just put my foot down. Now I do have this at the fastest that it'll go, only because I want to see just how fast it does it, and I have not got my foot to the floor. It does 1,000 and, what was it? 1,050 stitches a minute, which is a huge amount. Now just remember, I don't have any stabilizer in this. This is just one thin piece of cotton. So if it's a little bit distorted, I haven't got a stabilizer in, which I would normally have put in. And what I love about this is it's actually got a little a yellow dot on the stitch pattern as it's stitching out, showing me exactly where the needle is compared to the stitching. And now I've got my foot to the floor, so you can see it's come to the very end of my stitching there. So let's say, for example, I really like this stitch combination. It's finished that stitch length, stitch way. All I do, no hands, foot down, it repeats it. It does exactly the same thing again. So if you pick a selection of stitching that you wanted to put onto a piece of fabric, perhaps you had lettering that you just wanted to say happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, or happy 70th or something like that, you would plan it all in and then just put your foot down, pull your foot up, put your foot down, and it will keep stitching that pattern repeatedly all the way through. Luckily I didn't pick too many stitches, so this will take another 30 seconds or so. And you've got 4 alphabetic and numeric fonts as a standard. They're just completely standard. 351 different stitches. I think I said 390 earlier. And you've got, I think, 20 odd buttonholes. 20 buttonholes as well, which is just incredible. So all I've done now is press my thread cutting machine, and look at that. And you can see just how beautiful that is. And again, I mentioned to you not having any stabilizer in there, but even without the stabilizer, look how beautifully that's printed. And I wasn't holding the fabric at all, which is why it's gone a little bit squiffy, but I was just letting the machine do it. But if I'd held it straight, that would have stitched perfectly in the middle. So that is a really lovely, lovely aspect of this machine. But equally, if I just wanted it to stitch a straight line machine, a straight line stitch, bum, bum, bum. So the great thing about this is when you don't know which way to get it back onto the straight stitch because you're on live telly, you just switch it on and off. And it comes back and it's automatically on that button, on that place. So look at these bright lights. And the great thing about this machine is you've got that warranty, you've got this fabulous collection of feet with it, and it's also one of the best prices you're going to find on this machine because it's exclusive to Sewing Street at the moment, and it's just such a great, great value machine. And now if I'm wanting to stitch a straight line, so I'm now going to put this down fast, pedal to the metal, you can see how good that is. Now my stitch length there is a 2.4, so if I increase my stitch length to a 3, look how fast that's going. So you've got that industrial feel and industrial speed on this machine, but you've got that wonderful quality of being able to have a domestic machine, and you can see just how beautifully that's stitched. The stitching there is absolutely perfect, front and back. The tension is automatic, so that is just a really, really lovely way of doing it. It's obviously a considered purchase, but if you go and do the research and see just how incredibly good the reviews for this machine are, you will not regret it. It is a really fabulous machine. Because many of us have, myself, I have a workhorse machine that I know is going to stitch really, really quickly, something really fast, make sure I can get everything done as quickly as possible. But then I have another machine which I'm able to put and do my delicate embroidery and my delicate lettering and things like that. And then I've got another machine which does really good zigzags and decorative stitches. So I've got sort of 2-3 machines that does everything that this one machine does. So having the one machine to do everything does make much more sense. The other great thing about this is the training on this machine. They've got classes available, and it's £49 for a class, and that includes your lunch. So you can go down for an all-day class to learn how to use your sewing machine, and it's £49, which I think it's not a lot of money for a class to learn how to use your machine. And it's just a really fabulous, fabulous product. But I think what's important is when you put it to the test. So we have got our design roll race later in the week. So I thought what I could do is show you how the machine deals with a really, really, really big amount of stitching of straight lines and how it copes with it. Nothing like putting it to the test as we go. So this is my 1/4 inch foot. Before I put that on, I need to change the plate. I don't have to, but I'd prefer to, because then I'm going to make sure, yeah, I'm going to change the plate. Just also show you how simple the plate is to change. And there we go. Ooh, helps if I get it the right way around. Oh, what have I done? Hadn't lined that up perfectly there. There we go. So we're now putting on our straight stitch 1/4 inch foot. So that's all ready to go. So now we're going to do a bit of a cross combination demo here, because I'm going to show you how to do our design, what you need to do for our design roll race later in the week, on where you are getting that ready. But equally, I'm then able to show you just how incredibly well this machine works. So we're going to step back a little bit, and I'm going to show you our design roll bundle, which today is the last day you can order it if you want to guarantee delivery for the 18th of April, which is when our design roll race is. So these 3 bundles are the bundles you need for the design roll race. These are reduced by £10 for all 3 bundles, and that's coming in at £49.97 for the 3. Sorry, I thought I had this on the table, but I don't. So this is the quilt we're going to be making. Now remember, however you cut your fabric, however you place your fabric, it'll be slightly different or substantially different depending on how you place them to what I've got here, but the idea is the same. So on this you'll see I've kept my pieces of fabric the same length as they came off the design roll. And I think they work really beautifully. So my pink fabric has ended up being the middle fabric, and doesn't that look like a sunset? It just looks like a beautiful sunset. And when I showed a friend of mine, when it came into these blues, she said, gosh, those look like skyscrapers in a sunset. And I have to say, I do agree, they do look really incredible. But also, what you can do with these is you can cut these long strips in half. So you'll be able to have a bit more movement by having them cut in half. But all of that is made from these 3 design roll bundles, design strip bundles. And they gradiate in the colours, so you can see this one goes from a really bright light yellow all the way to a deep umber orange. It's just gorgeous. And they've each got different geometric designs on them, and you can see each one goes, they're all the same design per the hue of the colour that you're doing. So the darkest on the sunset one, the geometric design on the print is the same as the darkest on the azure and darkest on the berry. So you're going to get 3 of these panels for this design, for this special design bundle, and that's coming in at £49.97, saving you £10. But the great thing with these is that it's all thought out for you. The colourways go so beautifully together. Look at that. Got the gradation from the really light blue to the dark blue. If I could hold things, that'd be great. Really nice colour combination. You've seen the size on them on the other one, so you can just see the different colourways on that. And look at those geometrics. They're just gorgeous. Really, really, really lovely. And then we've also got the berry one as well. So I can show you the colourways on that as well. You've seen how big they are with the sunset. They're all the same size, 55 inches wide by 2.5. There are 16 of them, gradiating from a really light pink to quite a deep purple. It's beautiful. So you've got these 3 colourways that you're going to do, and what you're going to do for the design roll race is you're going to cut each of these strips out. And what I did is I kept them, I put the darkest, then light, I put this at the bottom, that next, that next, that next, that next, that next. And I kept them all on top of each other. And what I did for the first one is I took dark to light of the orange, dark to light of the pink, and I had the orange here and the pink there, but then I put light to dark of the blue in the middle. And I started and I went orange, blue, pink, orange, blue, pink, and I kept everything the length of the fabric, which is how I got to that. But remember, it is dependent on which way you sew them. And I'll tell you what I mean by that now. So once you've done those, you're then taking the short ends of all of these together and you're sewing them together into strip sets. So they're going to be strip sets like that. And you can see I've sewn the orange one to the blue one, I've sewn the yellow one to the blue one there, and that's what you're going to do for all of them. And you're going to have about 1,700 inches together. So these 3 together, once you've cut them all up and you've sewn them end to end, you end up with around 1,700 inches. And I'm going to regret doing this, but you end up with 1,700 inches, okay? And it just goes on and on and on. It's huge, it's absolutely huge. So you can see you've got this all the way like that. Okay, so you've now sewn your shorter ends all together, right? So you then take the edge of the end, the 2 ends. So at the moment you can see I've sewn 2 together. So let's just imagine these are the right sides of fabric together, and that's one piece, and that's one piece. So what you're going to do is you're going to take those, put them right sides together, and you're going to stitch down one side, and you're going to end up with a fabric strip like what we've done here. So what I've got here is one rotation of it. So I've got 2 pieces together, sewn down one end, having sewn all my short ends together bit by bit like that. So I'm hoping that makes sense, because it's quite difficult to explain if you don't know, if you haven't seen it before. So we've done our first run where we've sewn down one end. We're now going to put these together and we're going to sew them down one end. So when I said to you, I put my last ones in dark orange to light orange, light blue to dark blue, dark pink to light pink in my piles, and then I picked them up bit by, one by one by one and sewed them end to edge. If I sewed down this end initially to get that quilt and you sew down this end, it's going to be a totally different quilt. Your colours will variate through the thing. So it doesn't matter how you do it. So let's say, for example, and I cannot remember which way round I did it. If I sewed on that end to get the quilt that I'd showed you, and you sew on this end, it's going to be a totally different quilt. But it doesn't matter because it's still going to be beautiful and it's still going to work. So you've now sewn all your strips together this way, and then you've sewn 2 together that way. So you've got a piece now that's about 800 inches. What you're going to do now is you're going to put these right sides together, and I've not done the standing upside down on live telly before, so forgive me if I get this wrong. So you then take this and you put this into your sewing machine, and this is where this amazing machine comes into its own. You're doing a 1/4 inch straight inch seam all the way down, and I've got my needle set to being down all the time, and you just let it go. And you sew the whole way down. So at 9:30, when we start this design roll race, I will be at the end of my second row. So I'll have 4 strips sewn together like this. That is where I will be when I start sewing this together with you on our sew along. So if you want to be at the same point as I do, you're going to need to finish what I'm doing at the moment, just all the way down, sewing this for the second time. And I'm not going to sew the whole thing because I think that would be quite boring for you. But you can just see how easily this is just going through the machine and how simple it is. It's just like, it's almost like sewing through nothing for this machine. And it goes through at speed, the stitch quality is amazing. And I'm going to sew a little bit more so I can get a decent amount of length so I can show you where we're going and how we're going with this. Do another minute or two. Oh, it's just effortless. It's a really... The only reason I'm stopping is because I can't really move the fabric any quicker from the floor. So I've got the straight stitch on here, and then the straight stitch plate on here, but I've also got the straight stitch 1/4 inch foot on this. So the only good thing about this is to remember that you're going to be keeping consistent on your 1/4 inch seam. It's really important that you just stay consistent on this. And I'm going to do one more little bit on this. Right, so at this point I'm just going to cut off there. You will obviously sew the whole way along, all the way along down your machine. Now, one thing just to show you over here on the overhead, if that's possible, Joe, sorry. As you will see over here, when you're cutting your fabric up, you may end up with a bit of a white line, okay? It doesn't matter. The only reason it's going to be there is because sometimes you're going to cut exactly on the line, sometimes you're not. And it doesn't matter because it's in the seam allowance. And when I open that up, you can't see any white, so it doesn't matter. So when we're getting ready to sew this all together on the 18th, you will have these 4 pieces sewn together already. And you can see just how different this is to what I've sewn already on the previous one, because I had my yellows attaching to the pinks and I didn't have many blues. And now you can see the yellows pop in over here. And you just keep going like that. Now, I haven't pressed these as I go along. You can do if you want to. It does not matter. I'm pressing mine at the very end. And there you can go. You can just keep sewing all these together. That's where my end line is there. A little bit further on. That's where my end line is there. So I'm going to just carry on sewing so that for the design roll race on the 18th, you've got all of these strips sewn together. So you've got 4 in a row. So that'll be your second run. And then once you've got the 4, when you get to the very end, you may end up with a bit of a twist. So you just cut the fabric in half. It'll be a bit squiggly and not great. Stitch it to the end, and then once it's at the end, square it up on the ruler. And there you go, that's where we are. So for the 18th, you need to have your 4 strips together. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. It's only for those who really want to make sure that they're sewing along with us. This is a really amazing bundle. I think it's a fabulous collection. Today's the last day you can order it if you want to make sure that you've got it before the design roll race on the 18th. So if you are interested in it, please make sure you get your order in today. We don't want you to miss out. This is going to be such a great experience to be doing all together. And it's just a really fun way of being able to spend time together, another way of being able to do a project together. So that's on the 18th of April, this design roll bundle. 3 of them, you're going to be saving £10 by buying them, and it's £49.97. We guarantee delivery if you order these today, but after that they may arrive after the sew along. We just don't want you to miss out on it. So now we're going to go back to this fabulous machine. You saw how easily that just stitched through all those amazing layers of fabric on that. So you've got loads of different things you can still do on this. I'm going to go back to the decorative stitching to try and show you the lettering and the fonts, because I think that's very exciting. Oh, come on. Shame I'm making Joe run back and forth from the studio here. Sorry, Joe. And remember, when you're changing your plate, you need to make sure that you change your feed dogs to be correct. Get the right feed dogs in, because otherwise your plate won't fit. Okay, so that's down. I'm not using my straight stitch plate anymore, I'm using my creative plate. So I'll put that in there. Oh, did something funny there. There we go. So that's now slotted in, and by doing that you heard the machine make a little beep. That's just saying checking, setting to standard stitch set, check the presser foot. You press yes, so that's now come back and told you what you're doing, where you are on all of that. So let's have a little look and let's make some fun lettering. Now for the lettering, it's telling me I need to use my foot eye again. So I'm getting that, and the eye is provided as a standard foot with your machine. Don't forget you've got your feet that are free with the machine as well, which is your 200 pounds worth of feet. It's just good to remember those, and it's just such a great addition to have, as well as that 2-year warranty. I think it's really, really good that you've got that. I'm going to take a nice little piece of fabric here, put that in. Put my foot down, and I've got my alphabets ready. Oh, what have I done? I pressed the wrong button then. So all I've done here is I have just simply selected the lettering function. I've typed out a little saying, and now I'm just putting my foot down and off it goes. But I'll be a little bit better this time and make sure I guide this in so it can be nice and straight. As I'm stitching this, I've just realised that I accidentally pressed the E at the end rather than the D. So this is not going to make any sense at all once it's stitched out. So at that point where you finish, I'm just pressing the cutting button up here, lifting my presser foot, and that should read, but it doesn't, "Hello World." But I accidentally pressed E instead of D there. But you can see it's a really, really effective stitch, that. Really lovely. But now we can try, that's the one in alphabet. But as Joe pointed out earlier, there are 4 of them. So let's clear that. And I'm now using the panel with my wonderful little penny touchy thing with a little soft squishy bit at the top. And any of you who have the pen thing, you know exactly what I mean. Anybody who doesn't, you can figure that out, you know what I mean. So I'm going to do this slightly differently this time and hopefully get the right letters. So that's the new alphabet that the new font that I've chosen here. Oh. Oh, it does not like this. Hang on 2 seconds. What have I done? I think. Oh. Oh, that got caught. There we go. Let's try that again. And the great thing with this machine is it's all automatic tension. Everything is all automatic. You don't need to change anything, but if you want to, you can. So for example, we had Alison Holt in a couple of weeks ago. She does her free motion embroidery on this. So you have got the ability to drop your feed dogs entirely and to adjust your tension so that your bottom tension is coming up through the top very, very easily. So you have got that ability of making sure that everything is completely manual or everything is completely automated. Right, we're at the end there, so you can see now the second of the 4 embroidery stitches, embroidery fonts on that. Oh, that's much better. I think I may have tugged that a little bit there, but you can see that says Hello World. So it's just a really lovely, lovely design and the different ways that you can do all the stitches. 350, how many? 351 stitches on here, so you're going to be spoilt for choice on what you could and possibly want to make and do on this. It's a really lovely, strong, sturdy machine, which is where when they deal with the industrial technology, they've added that onto this domestic machine to be able to make sure that people wanting to have that industrial feel have it as well, in order to be able to have that durability and that comfort of knowing your machine can handle virtually everything. Should we do another font? Oh gosh, I've just found a button here where you're actually able to expand and write a whole load of words next to each other, which is really great. So should we do some decorative stitching again? Ooh, these look fun. The effortlessness of this machine is what I love. Ooh, look at them, they're pretty. We're going to have a whole load of snowflakes now, whether you like it or not. Let's give this a go. So all I've done now is gone onto the machine again and selected a whole load of different decorative stitches. As you've seen how well the stitching goes for the straight line stitching, I think it's good to make sure that you actually then get to see how the decorative stitches work as well. Because doing a design roll race with the machine and seeing how well it stitches is really nice and effective to be able to see how good it is. Oh, and here come my snowflakes. Oh, they're very cute. As you know, I'm a massive fan of Christmas, so anything snowflakey will get me going. And we're at the last of our snowflakes here. And the great thing with this is when you're doing decorative stitches, it automatically does a locking stitch for you. So you've got this wonderful security knowing that your stitches aren't going to come apart. And you can see they've just worked out so beautifully, and these little snowflakes here are so delicate. All of those work really, really well. It's just such a lovely way of doing it. You can see the back of it. You've got a little bit more thread on that side, but it's what you would expect with doing the stitching. But there's no issue with tension. It's just beautifully, beautifully done. I think that's really lovely little aspect of this machine. So what are we going to get for this price point? So the first thing you're going to get is this amazing machine. You've seen a few of the wonderful things that you can do with it. You're going to get the extension table. You're getting this fabulous instruction manual, which I cannot rate enough. It's so, so user-friendly. You're getting this box of feet, which we've shown you the different feet that you get with it. You've got this handy little screwdriver to be able to change onto your stitch plate. So you've got your different stitch plates. You've got all these different feet that I showed you earlier. So we can do those again. Now I'm not going to try and remember all of them directly. There's your A stitch, your A foot. There's your B foot, your C foot, and I don't know which ones these are off the top of my head. There's your D foot. You've got your P foot, which I know is your patchwork presser foot. Your O foot, which is your open toe presser foot. That's your feed dogs for your straight stitch plate. That's your straight stitch presser foot. You've got your straight stitch 1/4 inch presser foot. You've got your buttonhole presser foot. You've got your gauge. The machine comes automatically with a built-in walking foot. You've got your free motion embroidery foot. On top of that, you've got an additional free bias binding foot, the couching foot, a couple more bobbins. You've got the open-toed free motion embroidery foot, and you've also got the low shank adapter, which will be able to take all of your low shank adapter feet from previous machines, and you'll be able to then adapt this machine to be suitable for your low shank feet that you've used with your other machines. You've then got your usual unpicker, defluffer. You've got your second, if you're using a twin needle, this is where you'd put your thread onto that to use your twin needle. You've got a little box of needles, and you've got all the attachments then if you're using larger or smaller threads, that you can put those on the top to make sure that it's secure when you're doing it. So you've got everything that you would expect to having with a machine like this, all these incredible different feet, everything that you need to be able to enjoy yourself and to play and explore. And it's just a really lovely, lovely combination of products that, and it's everything you need is in the box. So this machine, I'm not sure, trying to find the ideal buyer and the perfect person to get the machine. I have to say, if I was a little bit more adventurous as a beginner, I would have bought this machine, because it is a machine you will grow into. It's a machine that you will learn with, you will learn about the machine, and as you grow, the different features on the machine will open up in your sewing world. And you might do it a little quicker than people that would perhaps... This is more of an intermediary to an advanced person's machine, there's no question. It's a very considered purchase. But it is also one of those machines that you're never going to regret buying. You're never going to regret having it, because it does absolutely everything, and it is just such a great machine. So it's for everybody, but I think people who are beginners are still kind of finding their feet. Perhaps that's not the right way for you. But definitely for an upgrade, if you're looking to upgrade your machine, this is certainly one that you should consider, because it's a really good workhorse. It's got absolutely every single thing you could possibly ask for. Hundreds of different stitches, 4 different fonts for embroidery. And I'm just looking here as well. We've actually got, I think this is a Japanese embroidery, a Japanese font system as well. I would test that and write something with it, but I have no idea what I would write. I love this machine for 2 reasons. Firstly, it is really, really easy to use. And I find sometimes that I struggle when things are a little bit too complicated. I like it to be really simple. I like the instruction manual, that it circles exactly what it is I'm looking for, because I like less steps in the process. I want to know that if I pick this up and I'm looking for how to select a stitch pattern, I want to know exactly what I'm doing. So you can see it's all lined out in red. You can go down and you can pick the practical stitches that you want. You can pick all of these. A reinforced stitch. I didn't even know that was a reinforced stitch. So now I know if I'm looking for something to have a bit of hold, that's got it there. It's just a really well thought out machine, and the technology behind it is really, really, really good. You've also got the knee lifter with it. The way we set the machine up, obviously we can't get the knee lifter in because of the angle of the table, but it does come with the knee lifter. It's not too complicated, which is what I love as well, because you've got this fabulous foot, and the foot is not complicated at all. It's not too big, because some of the feet are enormous and they just run away from you. But this has now got a function here that you can program. Oh, it's not. Oh, hang on. So that has different capabilities. You can reprogram your machine that every time you press this foot, it can do a locking stitch, it can cut your threads, it can lift your presser foot up to a certain height that you want it to be. It's fabulous, all the different technology on it. And the great thing is, being nice and small, is that it's not going to run away from you. If you prefer this to be on the other side, these screws undo. So you just rotate that and move this to the other side. So you've got it on either side. So if you prefer to have it on the other side, that's easily done as well. And it's just a really well thought out, really easy to use machine. Firstly, that's the main reason I love it. But secondly, it is really, really fun. You can sit down and do the jelly roll race and the design roll race, and you just cannot stop because it's just really fun to use, and you're just sewing along and you just don't even think about it. It's just so, so lovely. It will definitely enhance your sewing experience. And of course, it's the price. The price is a really good price. It's the best price you can get on this machine. And you get the fabulous collection of feet, ones that come as standard, as well as then the additional £200 worth of feet with it. And you get 2 years warranty on that as well. Really, really, really great deal. And it's just such a fabulous product. And behind that as well, you've got the technology that you know that this machine is going to last. You've got the name of Juki, which is a really great name, great product, excellent customer service, and and if you haven't been able to watch Gary on my show on the, was it the 11th of March? On the 11th of March, you'll be able to watch that and see me interrupting him with all my excitement about the machine, but he then can tell you exactly what about the machine, what there is to know about the machine and what there is to love about it. I really want to just put it in my car and never bring it back, but unfortunately can't do that. But it's a lovely, lovely machine. So that's our lovely Juki little NX7, a lovely little machine. We're going to do a bit of a recap now on our lovely block of the month. Who's winning at the minute? Block of the week. So I'm going to show you the blue version of our block of the week, mainly because I love blue. So this is the quilt that you're going to make. What we're doing at the minute is, instead of doing a block of the month, given the fact that most of us are at home at the moment, haven't got a lot to do, getting a bit frustrated, we thought we'd bring you a project that you can do weekly and something fun to be able to do every single week and be able to enjoy with other people. So this is the block of the week that we're doing over 12 weeks for the blocks, and then the 13th week will be our sashing and our borders. Oh, excuse me. So this is the blue colorway. So this is obviously for all 12 weeks, and then the 13th for the border. So each week you will make a different block. So that was our blue colorway, which was doing very well with our vintage colorway as well. Gosh, over half the... Oh, gosh. I knew that was going to happen. Nothing happened. Never mind. Cat, I'm so sorry. Cat brought this wonderful thread box and I've just pulled it off the wall. Sorry about that. What could possibly go wrong on live telly? So this is the vintage colorway. So this was winning at the last count. And more than half the stock on this one had gone as well. But you can see just how beautiful this colourway is. And all of these fabrics are completely exclusive to Sewing Street. You won't be able to find these fabrics anywhere else. And then we have the last colourway over here, forgive me. I've got a thread basket on top of it now, forgive me. Oh, vintage is still winning. Good colourway. Now this is the brights, and this is the one I did the demo on. A really lovely combination of colours as well. All very bright and vibrant. And just a lovely, lovely project. So each week we'll do a different block. Today we did, where have I put them? Boom, boom, boom. We made... Where do I put them? Nope. I hate this. I put things and then I can't find them. I'm so sorry. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So this is the block that we made today at 9 o'clock. And then that's the bundle that you're getting. So you're going to get the fabric to make the block, as well as your instructions, and that will be for $11.99 a week. So now we're doing a wonderful project at the moment for Make of the Week. So if you've won Make of the Week, we've got Julia Tromans, forgive me if I've said that incorrectly, Rebecca Johnson and Jacqueline Sharp. Yours were the Makes of the Week that we've chosen. Debbie, myself and Vicky have chosen. Look at that gorgeous, and is it Alison Hartman? somebody Hartman, I can't remember her first name, her design there. Well done, Julia. And then we've got Rebecca Johnson. What a gorgeous rainbow. I think that's absolutely stunning. Well done. And then finally, we've got Jacqueline Sharp for her beautiful miniature there. It's absolutely gorgeous. Many people don't know that that is actually a miniature. So please check Facebook. You would have had a message from us just to say congratulations. You get free P&P on your next purchase. So tomorrow, what have we got on? We've got fabrics and we've got tools, and then we've got the fabulous Elna 864 air threading overlocker, and I think that's all with Debs. So I'm so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for your support on our fabulous block of the week. I'm so pleased that you'll be able to take part in it. It's done really, really well. And that'll be every single Friday at 9 AM. Thank you all so much for your time today. Please stay in touch with us on social media and check out our website on www.sewingstreet.com. Thank you.